Hey, it's Zach Lyons here of 104.5 The Zone, and as the resident sports analytics nerd, I know data, and the numbers tell me that the dual power of radio and digital on 104.5 has always delivered for local advertisers. Now's your chance to book your 2025 marketing campaign early with special savings and incentives. Reach out today to your local ad representative or go to 1045thezone.com/epic.
What's going on? 6:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans fall at the hands of the Bills and Josh Allen 34-10. 5 days after arriving to Buffalo following a trade with Cleveland, Amari Cooper turned his first catch in his Bills debut into a go-ahead touchdown.
On 2nd and 10, Allen drops, throws, and there he is. Amari Cooper's first catch as a Buffalo Bill is a go-ahead touchdown with 10:23 to go in the third quarter.
Cooper finished with 4 catches for 66 yards on 18 offensive snaps. Bills moved to 5-2, while the Titans fall to 1-5, with the Detroit Lions looming for next week. Sunday Night Football saw the Steelers beat down on the Jets 37-15. In his Steeler debut, Russell Wilson finished 16 of 29 for 265 yards with 2 passing touchdowns and another one on the ground. Another wide receiver making their debut with a new team, but Devontae Adams was less than impressive, catching 3 of 9 targets for 30 yards and a pick-6 saving tackle. Steelers moved to 5-2, while the Jets fall to 2-5. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Reaction Monday and a brand new week getting started on RKW. Ramon, Kayla, and Will with 2 Tennessee teams going in very different directions. 34-10, the Buffalo Bills beat the Tennessee Titans. An embarrassing second-half performance leaves the Titans with less than 100 second-half total yards. And lots of conversations that we need to have this morning about how they have gotten to this point. Meanwhile, in Knoxville, 2.5 hours up the road, Alabama's playoff chances may have gone up in literal smoke. 615-737-1045 is the number. We stream the show live on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch in stunning high definition. That is where you see Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and myself, Will Bowling. Robert Walsh, our producer. It is Monday, October the 21st, and the Titans got dog-walked yesterday in Buffalo. Good morning.
Hey,
Gosh.
good morning.
I don't know if they're making me more tired every Monday morning. Probably. But I'm definitely feeling it.
Yeah, no, I think yesterday, reality hit yesterday a little bit more, man. Fascinating. I will say one thing, too, I discovered over the weekend. One of the best things that come out of 2020/COVID was the fist bump. Okay, I just want to say that real quick, okay? So, like, give a person the pound, move the heck on, because sometimes it ain't even like your energy's so low you don't even want to shake hands. That's where I was a little bit yesterday. Like, so for a few of the people I saw yesterday in Buffalo, it was just like, hey, what's going on? Fist bump, fist bump, fist bump. And I'm sure a lot of people want to use their fist to punch the sky or punch a team. So we're here now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where we are. Also, another thing that happened over the weekend. I told you on Friday. I was feeling a certain type of way about the game over the weekend. One in particular, I know tomorrow's a big day for the Vols, but I had to. As you guys can see, I'm not sure if you can see us on TV. I brought my kickstand for my cigar. Big boy, too, this morning, just so that I'm going to walk in like the coach did at Alabama real quick.
Right.
So I'm not going to smoke it in the studio. If this was like, Bert, when was the last time we could smoke in studios? Like the 70s or the 80s?
No,
or was
like
it early
the
90s?
More recent than that.
It was
no.
more
Probably the 90s.
I'd
It
say
was the
90s
90s.
for sure.
I could smoke.
I'm pretty sure, like cars,
For sure.
they were still getting ashtrays in
Really?
cars. Taylor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not gonna smoke it in the studio because we got all these nice 4K cameras and everything. You don't want to see the smoke billowing, but it was billowing out of Neyland, so I'm gonna just set it on my cigar stand right here. And I brought a couple tricks for me this
Looks like
morning
a hot
too.
dog.
Some tricks.
Make us feel better this morning about discussing
Silly rabbit
the
tricks for
Titans.
kids.
Okay.
Well, I got a silly elephant, okay, and he is battered and bruised. Do you hear me?
Be careful. They're extinct.
Did you get a
almost.
tusk?
No, I didn't.
Oh, look at this.
I got a
Elephant stuffed
puppet.
animal.
It's
Oh.
a puppet?
He's got a black eye.
Wait, is his tusk broken?
Yes, because he beat the hell out of it this
that
weekend.
is
okay?
funny.
We beat the hell out of him this
Oh,
weekend.
What does
my
Squeaky
goodness.
Smokey have to say to the elephant puppet today?
That's what the elephant said.
He's got nothing left.
So
Look at that.
If you see me, the tusk is broke. I mean, the snout is broke, and he's got a black eye. And you know what? For the people who might say something this morning, you do what you want when you popping, okay? Black eye and a broken
tusk.
nose is what I would say. I left the tusk. I love
Oh, the tusk is
elephants,
gone.
okay?
Okay.
The tusks are still there. I'm not illegally hunting elephants. I'm telling you, they just
You're
got
just bruising them.
They just got the crap beat out of them this weekend.
Give him a
okay?
little black eye.
A little black eye and a little broken nose is what I got.
You
Is that
knocked him
okay?
down for the mountaintop of college football.
That's all I'm saying.
That's all you
Get
did.
it fixed.
You know what we did in the state of Tennessee this year?
Beat Alabama.
Landlords, Kayla.
I don't know if Alabama's going to be making the 6A playoffs this year, the TSSAA. They're 0-2 in Tennessee region play.
All they got to play is Memphis now.
The MTSU, Austin P at this
That's
point.
right.
Go on, get in on this, man. What up, y'all? We'll treat it just like the government. We'll send you funds to handle them.
Seriously.
All right, hey, back.
Well, that is a perfect way to start
It is.
the show because, listen, we would be doing that win and that Tennessee team a disservice if we did not spend a significant amount of time discussing them this morning. So, while Mondays on this show and on the station are often completely dedicated to the Tennessee Titans, that is certainly not going to be the case today.
Oh,
So
my God.
stay tuned for lots of Tennessee reaction, Tennessee, Alabama. We usually do a lot of our college football on Tuesdays. But, guys, there are two teams, like I said, going in different directions, and they require us to change our plans a little bit this morning because, A, the Titans are going in the wrong direction, and they keep losing in the same way. So we're going to have some tough conversations
Yeah, we
about them.
are.
But there's not a whole lot of new we can tell you about this football team because they stink in the second half. They can't block anybody. Quarterback play has been bad once again. And defensively, they bent and then got so tired they broke at the end of it with a couple of key starters out. Meanwhile, Tennessee is rolling on defense and did enough on offense. So while Tennessee's first halves are kind of like the Titans' second halves, two very different conversations that we'll have this morning about those
Seriously.
two teams.
Absolutely. And it's just look, I don't think a lot of us thought that the Tennessee Titans were going to go and beat Buffalo. At least I personally did not think that. However, I think it's hard sometimes when they give you hope when things are headed in the right direction,
Hope is
i.e.
one
the
hell of a
first
thing,
half.
ain't it?
Yeah, and then it's like they just continue to hurt themselves. And that's why I think it's so frustrating about this team. Yes, it's bad, but they also hurt themselves so much where they put themselves in these situations then it's even more frustrating. It's just like, they'll just be bad from the start, right?
No,
don't lead a game.
Seriously.
But it unfortunately, this is what the tease we've had all season with this team.
So I was in the stadium. I'll give y'all my in-stadium experience, and I guess probably in the second segment, whenever we open this thing fully up. How was it on the TV copy?
What do you mean?
Like as far as I know, J Mac was commentating it. Jason McCourty had a great conversation with him also in the broadcast booth.
Former
man,
Titan,
Tiki also, Catalan was around. Was it just like so slanted in their conversation because it was so bad?
What do you mean? What do you mean slanted?
As far as like saying how bad the Titans were, like did it show on film? Like did it show like there was like they were in disarray and just not?
Yeah.
It did.
I mean, once the second half hit.
I mean, they had 11 yards in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And 3 drives.
It was probably hard for them to do some of the game. I mean, Buffalo was still scoring clearly on like every drive.
And
but
I think they were pushing it up a little bit too. But that's what you do to teams that are bad.
Especially when you didn't do much in the first.
And it's their first time being home, Kayla. And it showed in the stadium. There is a lot of just like aesthetics that they have up there, just like tradition that they have. And you, as a person that went up there with this Titans team, like you see a lot of the stuff that I know this fan base here wants. But it's comprised of like years of winning, hope. To your point, Kayla, you brought that up earlier. Like when you got hope, like you'll do some crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll buy, you'll support, you'll blindly follow. I feel like everybody's woke now with this squad. Like I know you talk back yesterday was spicy as heck. But watching that game, I said this, and I said this morning to Ron Savage. He called me this morning. I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Out of respect to those guys over there and like me not playing, right? Me just evaluating. Mm-hmm. The game yesterday that was played and how it unfolded, I get the first half was very good. I felt like it was good enough to where you
went
said.
According to plan again.
Wasn't according to plan. And then when it fell apart, I said that would have been one of those games as a player to where I'd have been asking the guys, like, hey, where are we going after this? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, that was a good enough fight. Like we were pricks, and I can say that a little bit as players and cocky. And I know we get that stigma, that reputation out of Pittsburgh, but that would have been one of those games yesterday, the way it unfolded and how it just kept spiraling out of control and how they mocked and ran up stats and everything that you kind of said to yourself, yeah, that's just y'all just bad, man. And you hate it for the ones that care, but like it legitimately after it's nothing to do in Buffalo, I'd have been like, what we going after this, y'all? We going to the bar? We going to eat? What we doing? Because it wasn't enough yesterday. And I know the strain is there and guys are trying to make plays, but when you look at how it broke down, it was just bad in the second half.
Like I've been saying all season, just when adversity hits this team, and I'm not even talking about off the field, I'm talking about on the field this year, they just can't rebound from that, or they just can't find a way to have an instant fix or to come back and answer with a score or whatever it is, get off the field. Like there is no overcoming adversity at this point when it comes to this team.
615-737-1045 is our number. We are wide open for your Titans and Bills reaction here this morning at the F&M Bank chat on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, or on the phone, 615-737-1045. What we made of Mason Rudolph's first start, why things got so bad in the second half. We'll break it all down for you coming up next at RKW. Monday morning reaction Monday on RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Bills 34, Titans 10. 615-737-1045, your reaction. Let's start, guys, at quarterback. What did you make of Mason Rudolph's first start?
His first half, solid. I couldn't wait till the second half.
18 of 23, 155, and a touchdown.
There was rhythm. There was timing.
That was timing. You saw him throw to the sideline, a chick. I thought that was good across the middle. He was good there. Just the anticipation of the passes getting out of his hand. I felt like the defense somewhat settled back to where they were able to run the ball a little bit better. The left side, I thought with Mason ran and dominated first half. And then before the first half ended, it seemed like all intents and purposes was to stop and bash J.C. Latham and Peter Skoronski on the left side. And when that happened, they couldn't run right or they couldn't consistently get the run going again. That's when it was crap down the hill. It just picked up more and more crap as it rolled.
Sure.
First half, Will, awesome. Second half, I think they got caught and seen, man. And I think there was no real adjustments or plays being made. And penalties, sacks, turnovers also.
Yeah.
I mean.
Same story, right?
Yeah,
Same story, different quarterback. Yeah. I thought Mason Rudolph was really good in the first half. I thought, like I said, there was a rhythm to the offense. The timing was there. Play action was working. You were getting different parts involved. You had mentioned the tight ends. I think they had led the way in the first half with the receiving yards combined. Yeah. But there just seemed to be everything for the most part working. And the defense, mind you, kept doing its job. I mean, they did what the Titans defense has done most of the year. And then again, it's just like one thing, there was some timing at the end of the half that they didn't get, they had that weird play at the end. They could have maybe have figured out the timing a little better to set up for a field goal, possibly.
Had to take that timeout early that they didn't want
it was
to.
Just
that
a little
happened.
Off,
I feel like it's at the second or third time that's happened throughout the course of the year, too.
Clock management.
Get clock management, yes.
Yeah, so whatever that was going into the half, coming out of the half, and you go, I think it was turnover on downs, correct, guys? Coming out of the half for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, it was.
Because they got the ball, too. Buffalo was even like, hey, we want the ball to start the game. So the Titans had an opportunity to come out and score.
The Titans 3 and out, and the defense 3 and out. Josh Allen, I think 2 straight series.
And Amari Cooper dropped an easy third down catch that would have extended that first drive. So they got a little help.
Yeah, they did.
Well. 5 plays, 5 yards. Turnover on downs to start the second half.
And then punt. Like, that's the thing. And Buffalo, they started scoring, and it was like a nosebleed, literally, like a nosebleed if you've ever had one, and you just can't stop it. Because the defense, I felt like, just kind of not gave up, but they were just tired.
I'd say gave up.
Yeah, at this point, drive, maybe they are, right?
I like to stop short of saying a team quit, but as close as, I think that's about as close as you get to quitting.
Let's use another word, dominated. Because bodies were on the ground. They broke tackles. Who was it? Ray Davis?
Yeah, Ray Davis kind of the closer for them.
No, for real, Will. Yeah. So if you asked me about the quarterback play, to answer that question.
Not good enough.
Decent, not good enough.
In the second half, Mason Rudolph in this game was 7 for 17, 60 yards and an interception.
Yep.
I know Jason McCourty mentioned the Bills made the switch and played more man in the second half, just manned up. Said, all right, beat us, get separation. Titans didn't. And there were a lot of passes that were so errant to Calvin Ridley, you wondered if they'd ever practice together.
You're correct.
Oh, for real.
And I don't know what this is. I mean, he doesn't get a ton of reps with Calvin, but he did practice throughout the week, we've heard now, just as much as Will Levis did with the ones.
Yeah. Well, he found out he was going to start Saturday also.
But I think from what I heard, they were still letting him go a little bit throughout the week in practice.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know the situation.
They did not. It's fascinating watching it unfold. And I will say this too, for as much as Calvin said last week, the attention that he got, there's a few balls that came his way yesterday. You have to bring in. On this, we have to call it what it is. That's not my thing. Being a former player, I always try to be like, all right, where's the line? The line is this. If I see it on tape, then we got to call it out. Mm-hmm. You can't make a fuss and then not answer the call. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen guys be put in that situation before. Antonio Brown throwing water jugs on the sideline, fussing, cussing on the sideline. And you know what? I'm going to give you the ball. But your behind better catch it. Your behind better answer the call. And I know Calvin had a couple plays yesterday. It was a few that if he'd have got the one that was up top that went right through his hands, that carries a drive on. That's momentum. Those types of things right there. When that's not working, when your A guy ain't doing A-like things, when he's asked for those things, that's when we got to call a spade in that one.
I agree.
You got to bring that, because the tape is telling me catchable balls are supposed to be caught, and it wasn't caught yesterday.
And he got them early and often. That's the other thing. That's partly on him, too, then. Now you're going to get the ball. Like you said, building momentum. You've got to catch some of those so that you can actually do that, not only for the team, but for yourself. Like you're saying, you need to get in that rhythm. Well, you're not able to get it, even though you're getting these balls early in the game, which he was.
That's what he was.
Yep.
I thought it was great variety earlier in the game.
Was.
I mean, they spread the ball around exactly like you wanted them to.
So what went so wrong in the second half? Why were they so anemic offensively in the second 30 minutes?
Completely honest with you, Will, they're just not as good as the Bills. And I hate to say that, but at some point when the Bills realize, holy crap, we can beat y'all up. We're like, again, when they started to push back the left side of the offensive line, I think that's a good strength of this team. That's when it started to unfold. When they could determine if you can or cannot run the ball, and they decided to play man-to-man from J-Mac said, Jason McCourty said, then that's when it switched in another direction. Because here's the thing about it. I hate to say it, we'll talk about this roster. We'll talk about this coaching staff. We'll talk about management and everything else. But team to team, looking at it the way it was Buffalo's crafted, Green Bay is crafted, and I don't even count Indy or other teams. Like those two teams right there, it's just not good enough yet. And I don't want to say, hey, give it time, because right now we're in the moment. And I can personally see the future of what it can turn into. But as it stands right now, it's just not good enough. Mike Keith said before the game, when they were about to kick off, what's fascinating about the Buffalo Bills is this, and it's inexcusable because you're supposed to compete. 16 or 17 of the 22 starters on offense or defense are all Buffalo Bills players.
Homegrown. What are we having this conversation again?
Yeah,
right?
and the point of that is this. Right now, I think there's a lot of good talent inside of that building. I do. It's obvious. It's the top 1% of athletes in football.
There are outlier individual performances that are positive.
But there's a lot of pieces that are just being added that are not homegrown at all, and that are veterans, yes, but not necessarily guys that are the building blocks. But
the difference is when Deion Dawkins is in their locker room when a young player from Northern Iowa get drafted, or whenever you have Von Miller come in and you got Ed Oliver on the other side, they can set a precedent and and just culture in place of like, I know how you did things where you can't, but this is how the Buffalo Bills do things.
You're supplementing a foundation that's been built.
A foundation that's been built.
Right now, the foundation of the Titans roster are the opposite.
So
they're free agents that are supplemented with some draft picks.
And I think that's what's so tough too, is a lot of these guys, some of them have come from really winning cultures. Some have come from cultures where maybe they had a big season last year in terms of their own individual accolades, and they're coming here and you're losing straight out of the gate. And now you're just kind of seeing too, like the division of the team. Jeff said it in the locker room. It's, the word.
What's that?
Itty.
Shianoui.
Yeah.
Shianoui.
Shianoui. And that's straight coming out of his mouth. Like, this is the point that we're getting to, because a lot of these guys, and you saw it in Jamal Adams, he's like, I don't even want to be here. Now, part of that is because he's
a different situation.
Not a good soul, not enough good soldiers in there as far as your guys. But the answer to the question, honestly, is just getting beat up and pushed around, out talented at this point.
I do think the first half was a little bit of fool's gold when you go back and watch it. To be honest with you, Mason Rudolph should have had a pick that he threw right at A.J. Epinesa on the field goal scoring drive. The Bills just didn't take the opportunities the Titans were giving them in the first half. The Bills beat themselves. And yes, you have to credit the offense for having a better flow and having a better scheme. And Mason Rudolph made some good throws. But the Bills on the Titans touchdown drive gifted the Titans with a 15-yard penalty. Taron Johnson with the helmet-to-helmet hit on Tony Pollard on third down. Mm-hmm. They were off the field. Nope. Go ahead and continue then after that. Buffalo did not capitalize on a Mason Rudolph fumble that they did recover. and then another sack fumble that Buffalo could have recovered at the 10-yard line and immediately been in the red zone to take the lead into halftime. The Titans were able to fall on that. So the Titans had two big scenarios of turnover luck. They had turnover luck in the first half. So while, yes, some better things happened in the first half, they were also allowed to continue some of those drives because the Bills did not catch or recover balls that were right there for them to be had on defense.
I will say also, I know we got callers up, but I will say this. I do think they set the tone running the football in the first half.
Oh, yeah, and that's what we said they needed to do, right?
I did.
They're able to extend drives.
And one more. God, dog it, I hate to go there with him again. Having Jalen Duncan go out with a hammy.
I'm not even going to go on him because when they said they were going to start him, I was like, that's stupid. I'm just going to call it right now.
But
I don't care. He should not be on the team.
He wasn't.
Period.
And then he went out. But, dog, as a professional, the way Nicholas Petit-Frere got pushed around by a 260-pound defensive lineman is beneath most offensive linemen. Do you hear me?
I'm done with it.
I mean, Brian Callahan said, we have a right tackle problem. None of them working. None of them.
Go.
None of them are working.
And Leroy Watson was inactive.
But I don't know how much better. I get it. I
don't think he's much better.
They
but
were okay.
I think he's better than NPF. Right
he was better, but from what I saw on the tape, I can understand why he was down. I don't like it, but I can understand because I think Jalen probably had a good week. NPF being your backup, at least put Leroy up. But here's the situation. Right. You were without Snead, you were without a couple other DBs, and you need other positions. So you brought up Gabe, Judy Lowley. You had to bring up other skills and drop an offensive lineman. Huh?
They're lucky Pollard didn't have a concussion protocol because they only had one other running back.
So you had to drop a lineman to bring another skill player up. So that was a roster decision at that point. NPF, dog.
Yeah,
they
stats
don't have
on
an
that
answer
one.
there, period.
Greg Rousseau had a team-high 11 pressures on 39 pass rushes. That is the most pressures generated in a game by a Bills pass rusher since Ed Oliver in 2022. And I bet you can guess who he was matched up against more often than not.
Nicholas Petit-Frere. And by the way, correct. Chris Hubbard is not available.
No,
he has already been signed. So they got late on that, too. They wanted to do that.
615-737-1045. Eric in Nashville will kick off proceedings on the phones this morning. Hey, Eric.
Hey, guys. Before I get to the Titans yesterday, because that's what I'm primarily going to call to talk about, I got to say this. Friday, I've never laughed so hard in my life on Friday with the whole Tennessee, Alabama trash talk. It was just I was hurt, guys. And I'll say this, guys. Vols fans certainly enjoy your victory. You deserve it for what you've done to Alabama 2 out of the last 3 years. But I will say this, guys. Also Saturday to prove the SEC still runs through Georgia. They're still the top dog. And until Tennessee gets that gorilla offensive back, hey, you're not going to be able to go where you want to go. Y'all got to start knocking them off.
Eric, don't call in here trying to
Not
bring
today.
it up.
Not today.
No.
This is about the cigar smoke. We're still feeling a little bit.
Do you see this elephant on my head right now?
I apologize.
Yeah.
We'll worry about Georgia in a couple weeks.
Oh, we got Kentucky first.
I apologize.
Okay.
I didn't mean to make y'all look
bring us down with you because of Cowboys and the Titans doing bad. Don't do that.
Eric's peeing on your sweater this morning.
I'm sorry.
Man, what
You're good,
the
Eric.
hell you doing?
Proceed with your Titans thoughts, Eric.
We were having a good time, Eric.
I didn't mean to make y'all upset. I'm sorry. I opened up a can of words. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Okay, I'll go to timeout. Please forgive me. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, now, as far as the Titans guys go, I will say this, guys, and I said this on post-game show yesterday. I thought that Mason Rudolph played as well as he could for as much duress as he was. I mean, he just basically the second half was running for his life. The offensive line in the second half was horrible. And the thing is, those two back-to-back plays where the turning point where we got stopped on the 4th down to 2 running plays or both plays, they just got blown up. And somebody made the comment, and I wholeheartedly agree. I was shocked that Callahan did not challenge where it looked like Mason Rudolph got the first down. They asked about it after the game. It was like, well, I didn't really see it, all this type of stuff. I mean, still, you got to try and challenge that. I mean, you're 1-4, and that might have been turning point. I mean, maybe we had the first down, maybe we did, but I was just shocked. You challenged that play, and the fact that he later used the challenge, which to me was an insignificant play where he won on the spot of a couple yards, that made no sense. I thought that was a poor use of a challenge at that position, guys. Second half, Buffalo, they just got on the roll. They did punt. They had 5 straight scoring possessions. I mean, it was like they were just vicious yesterday, and they just said, "Hey, we're the better football team," and they just wiped the floor with it. Got to give them credit. And I can't remember. I think at one point it was 14 plays. We had 10 yards, and I think we just had the ball for something like just over 2 minutes second half, and the defense was tired. It was gas. Guys, y'all take care of what talk again. It was just pitiful yesterday.
Thank you, Eric.
That was a detailed call.
And never call again, Eric.
We love you, Eric. We just
That's so
we
funny.
had to.
I don't think I've ever heard him talk like Vols.
B2A right there, real quick, Eric. That's all. We had to bring out the belt real quick, man.
Belt to
Now, me
Alabama.
and Kayla, ain't never heard Eric speak like that.
No.
That's what a bad weekend
He's
to do
trying
for
to pee
you.
on your all's parade.
So I'm just like, come on now.
Yeah, look, there is still some management stuff with Callahan that him being a first-year head coach, you can definitely see. We've talked about the clock management, some decision-making, and I know that's part of growth with a team, but I think it just hits hard when everything else is not working as well. That just, it's magnified even more, right? We're going to get into all the details on that kind of stuff because that's what, in the long run, is adding up to not being able to get these wins or not being able to produce in the second half.
Oh, and the other thing, too, is like, as far as like new coach and new regime, like the bones is there, I think. Like I can see what it could be. I can see although the conversation of who fired, who let go, who need to sell the team that's a hot topic right now. But what sucks is for the dudes that do have the talent that you see. Like you see what JC's capable of. You see what Peter is. You look at Jarvis Brownlee, although he had his moments yesterday. Like,
and he'll have those, right? I mean, he's a rookie.
It's the growing pains of what it is, right? But what sucks is through this growth, you don't see much winning. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the process of trusting it is hard to watch right now.
615-737-1045. More of your reaction as long as you don't rain on the Vols parade this morning at 615-737-1045. And again, if you're just out joining us, this will not be a 4-hour Titans reaction show this morning because that would be doing a disservice to Tennessee's win over Alabama and a team that has legitimate playoff hopes. So while, yes, we are still going to cover a lot of Titans today, we will still take your Vols thoughts and give you a ton of Tennessee-Alabama reaction as the show continues this morning. So stick around for that or subscribe to the Ramon, Kayla, and Will podcast feed, wherever you download podcasts, to get that this morning as well. We'll take your reaction and talk about one player who was not on the field late for the Titans yesterday. What's the deal with DeAndre Hopkins? Got that for you next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Y'all, it is spooky season and everyone's thinking about Halloween. Yes, this team up in Knoxville would have thought about it a little bit sooner, but that's neither here nor there, okay? This month is all treats and no tricks with my friends at Hiller. During their Spooky Good Fall giveaway, get a free Blackstone griddle, Solo stove, or Yeti Tundra cooler with select home upgrades that Hiller will provide to you, or just simply enjoy the $99 specials like an HVAC tune-up, man. For more details about all the things that Hiller has for you, visit happyhiller.com.
Monday morning on RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And coming up in a few minutes, I'll tell you what Brian Callahan had to say yesterday about Mason Rudolph starting and Will Levis further injuring his shoulder. Got that for you coming up here in 15 minutes. Your thoughts on the phone line, 615-737-1045. Ramon, did DeAndre Hopkins go into the injury tent yesterday?
He did not go in the injury tent. He did not go in the injury tent. I didn't see a post game or anything like that on. What did he have to say?
Said he was sore.
Said he was sore?
That was about the extent of
That's how
his
Titans
answers.
fans felt watching that offense at the second half, too.
I'm
I think they were
teetering
pretty
on
sore.
what I can say and can't say on what I see on the sideline if it wasn't on the broadcast, but I don't think soreness was a part. I think he was frustrated. I think he wanted more involvement in the offense. I think there were some plays that, that you try to go to Calvin Ridley for that he felt like should have came to him. I don't know if soreness was a part of the discussion. I mean, he may have been sore. I don't know
Right.
D-Hop like that. I don't know what his body feels like, et cetera, et cetera. But I saw frustration more than I saw anything else as it pertains to it.
And Brian Callahan was asked about it too, and he kind of, had a minimal answer, but said it wasn't a coaching decision. So I know there was a lot of instant, are they saving him now just for the trade situation, not putting him out there for risk? He said it wasn't a coaching decision. He'd have to check with Todd, the trainer. So I'm sure we'll get more answers today, but I don't really know what that was.
Maybe he injured the same hamstring that Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper injured.
Exactly.
I was going to say
The
Jalen
mysterious hand. Yeah.
We got, 2 weeks right now on trade
About.
deadline?
Yeah.
2 weeks?
Right before New England.
I'll have to check with what because again, I don't know what I can and can't say in those moments, so I choose not to say anything, but he didn't go in the blue tent.
Let's say this. DeAndre Hopkins can talk it during the week about how he feels happy to be here, how he doesn't necessarily want to leave. I'm fine with all that. But, buddy, if you're on the field for a fourth down or a fourth quarter drive when this team is losing, then I don't really care what you want to do. I'm trading you.
Yeah.
With the way this team is right now, it's not up to him whether or not he gets traded. It's up to the organization. And right now, if I'm the organization and I'm the front office, well, why would I have a good wide receiver on the sideline in the fourth quarter when I can just go ahead and send him somewhere else and get somebody else in here next year who won't be on the sideline in the fourth quarter, who's going to be a heck of a lot cheaper than DeAndre Hopkins?
Yeah, this kind of shifted, and I know we've had that talk about, trading him. Do they not? This has kind of shifted my mind, too. I think you just have to get what you can get for him right now because there are teams that are interested and that will always take a wide receiver. He's been productive enough and healthy enough that you could get at least maybe a fifth, which I'm fine with.
At this point, did the TV show him a good bit on the side? They did?
They made it into a thing on that long drive, the 50-yard drive, the only drive the Titans had that had double-digit yardage.
Okay.
He had a towel in
in
his head.
the second half. Or I guess one of two drives in the second half that had more than 10 yards.
It was frustration more than anything yesterday.
Well, they showed him still, and Jason McCourty made the point of his helmet is on. He's not moving with the offense. He is detached from the other skill guys who are standing right next to the head coach and getting ready to maybe go on the field. Hopkins is standing by himself, side-eyeing the head coach, not engaged and moving with the skill player.
Well, that's what it was.
Yeah,
after the
they
double
showed a
coverage.
lot of
Okay,
that.
well, there it is. After the double coverage pass to Calvin along the left side, the Titan side, you saw D-Hop come off. He didn't slam his helmet, took his helmet off, rolled it, threw his head up in the air, bit his lip, and just took a squat. Didn't go down there with the wide receivers, was detached more than anything. And there was conversation on the sideline. Did anybody see it? Everybody saw it, is what I would tell you. Now, again, I don't know as far as what his value is, Kayla.
Conversation with who?
I can't say all
Okay,
that.
I didn't know. Not another player, though.
Everybody saw it, is what I'm telling you. And in those moments right there, when you have a super veteran guy like him that feels important to this offense, and I'll say this, want to help this team win and feels like the target should come his way, being that type of guy in those moments is not good for a team that's already spiraling downhill anyway.
And I consider him a veteran in a way, not a leader, but in a way he is for that wide receiver group.
And here's the thing behind it, too. Out of respect for the position, wide receiver, it's one, I say this often, it's the only position that you have to worry about somebody else helping you out.
Sure.
Right? The quarterback or the offensive coordinator. You have to depend on somebody else giving you the ball, and he wasn't getting it. And I know he
had one
wants the ball.
target and 1 catch for -2 yards yesterday.
Yeah. So I can understand his frustration, but if you're bought into the team and you're trying to understand that the game plan that you had in place, whether it was set up on Friday, Saturday, or whenever Mason was going to be in, hey, you got to simplify it enough for him to get him the ball. And then here's the other side that I've been saying too. If Calvin Ridley is your dollar guy, right, then you also have to designate who's number one. And it seems to me, moving forward, Calvin is going to be here a whole lot longer than what D-Hop is, correct?
He is because of his contract, yeah.
Yeah, and
he
that's,
ain't going anywhere.
That's what
Calvin,
I'm
who
saying.
had
So
9
those are the
targets
things that have to
yesterday.
happen.
And there's not a market for Calvin Ridley right now
No.
either.
No.
You're not taking on that contract for the level of production you're getting based on targets to catches.
That's a heavy number.
Why would anyone want to trade for Calvin Ridley right now?
And then you got to take on the contract, too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So, no. He was detached and frustrated and upset. And in that moment, not a good team player, but you know what? He might feel like the team wasn't good to him, too, yesterday. So I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate on that, but I've seen that happen before, and guys get ripped inside the locker room the next day.
You know who isn't getting a ton of targets but continues to produce when he's on the field,
Nick
though?
Westbrook-Akine.
NWI.
Yeah. He's as solid as you get.
You don't hear the complaints about get me in the flow. The guy at one point had 2 touchdowns on 3 targets. He just catches the football when it's thrown to him.
And don't complain. Here's the thing. I see people saying, like, made me think he was already traded. No, I don't think that was a conversation. D-Hop being traded during the game.
This was not the front office buzzing down to Callahan saying, hey, we need to save him for trade. Take him out.
Take him out.
This felt a lot like DeAndre Hopkins just not being engaged with what the Titans had going on, and Brian Callahan saying, all right, well, then we'll put somebody else out
Which
there.
can now push this talk forward for sure.
100%.
And we'll see what happens this week.
It's soft.
Yeah.
Other teams have these issues, but you know what other teams do that's not happening here?
Well, they're winning.
They'll win games.
Yeah.
You can hide it a whole lot better.
And when you got top receivers that think they are the guys, which there are some on this team, and they're not getting the ball in whatever game, and then you're losing on top of it, yeah, you're going to start to see this.
It's not a great look from DeAndre Hopkins. It's really not. He should be on the field in the fourth quarter, and clearly it wasn't a quote-unquote coaching decision. Well, then there you go. It's a DeAndre Hopkins decision.
Yeah, more than anything yesterday.
Let's go to Oscar next up on the phone, 615-737-1045. Hey, Oscar.
What's up, y'all? But I thought the culture was supposed to be so much better than that. Mike Vrabel's on. Oh, people can actually relax and be themselves around the workplace. How's that working for them now? 1-5. That's how it's working.
Vrabel's also in the Cleveland place is also 1-5 or 1-6 too. So how much has he helped their culture? Like, we can say these things and understand that there's a two-sided conversation behind this too. You are in a full friggin' rebuild. We said that a while back and nobody wanted to say the R word. We wanted to say reset, rehabbing, retool. No, you're in a full rebuild. You got 2 quarterbacks on this team right now that aren't what you want them to be. You got a young offensive line right now that's not what you want it to be. And just being plain honest with you, teams have stacked up against you right now in the sense that the level of competing isn't there. Culture is one thing. You know what also sets culture to, my brother? Winning, right? Vrabel's last 2 seasons. What happened here also? You might have won a couple more games, but you're still below 500.
6-18 in his last 24 games.
6 and who?
6-18 in his last 24. So, Oscar, that culture wasn't really working for him either. Takes some time to reverse that. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the second hour as well. 615-737-1045. And a lot of comments like that as pressure starts to mount on the coaching staff and the front office and, quite honestly, the owner, who made a big call, and the team's 1-5 since she made it. Coming up, hour 2, what Brian Callahan said about Will Levis, why Mason Rudolph played yesterday. We got that for you next.
What's going on, guys? Bert and Ramon here for North Point Roofing System. Sometimes good people go through hard times and they need a little help getting back on their feet, or in this case, getting a roof back over their heads. North Point Roofing System is here to give you that peace of mind, Ramon.
No doubt about it, man. Y'all, Bert just told you, man, sometimes good people go through hard times. That may be you or someone you know, all right? And North Point Roofing Systems, they understand life challenges and want to give one lucky listener a brand new roof just by visiting 1045thezone.com to register. Tell us why you or someone else is most deserving. Again, here's the thing. It can be a Christmas present for somebody for all we know right now. Simply go to northpointroofingsystems.com go to 1045thezone.com to get a North Point roofing system. All right. See you, Bert.
What's going on? 7:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans fall at the hands of the Bills and Josh Allen 34-10. 5 days after arriving in Buffalo following a trade with Cleveland, Amari Cooper turned his first catch in his Bills debut into a go-ahead touchdown.
On 2nd and 10, Allen drops, throws, and there he is. Amari Cooper's first catch as a Buffalo Bill is a go-ahead touchdown with 10:23 to go in the third quarter.
Cooper finished with 4 catches for 66 yards on 18 offensive snaps. Bills move to 5-2, while the Titans fall to 1-5, with the Detroit Lions looming for next week. Sunday Night Football, you saw the Steelers beat down the Jets 37-15 in his Steeler debut. Russell Wilson finishing 16 of 29 for 265 yards with 2 passing touchdowns and another one on the ground. Another wide receiver making their debut with a new team, Devontae Adams, but less than impressive. 3 catches on 9 targets for 30 yards and a pick-6 saving tackle. Steelers move to 5-2, while the Jets fall to 2-5. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 2 on this RKW Reaction Monday. Getting rocking and rolling on a beautiful morning in Music City, USA. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Boulding. Robert Walsh is our producer, and the phone number is 615-737-1045. We stream the show live in stunning high definition, 1045 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. And coming up, we're going to have a big conversation about the future of the Tennessee Titans, because many of you are bringing that future into question for the head coach and possibly even members of the front office. So we'll go there. Not saying we'll necessarily agree with many of you who are saying bring back the Vrabel days, but we will at least entertain the discussion that many of you have been having on the artist formerly known as Twitter and now X.com. Mason Rudolph yesterday in the first half looks good. Seemed like we were on our way to having a real quarterback controversy this morning. 18-23, 155 and a touchdown. Followed that up in the second half, 7-17, 60 yards and a pick. When asked about Will Levis's injury and the timeline moving forward, this was Titans head coach Brian Callahan yesterday.
So here's how this happened. He came off the bye week and 10 days rest. Started practice that week, getting ready for Indianapolis. Felt like he was good enough to go. Everything in practice seemed like it was good. It felt kind of fresh because he came off the rest. Ended up feeling it towards the end of the game on a couple of those throws. It's hard to simulate what that feels like with pressure in your face and having to make that throw. Came out of the game and it bothered him, and then you take a whole load of a game and then try to come right back on Wednesday and play again. And he felt it. It was sore. It hurt. His mechanics were not where they needed to be. His arm strength felt weakened. He didn't feel great. So we limited him on Wednesday. Tried to get to see if he'd come back on Thursday and go. Went full Thursday with pads on. I had him try every throw that we could possibly throw. Every downfield throw all over the place on practice, and came out of that practice and it didn't feel great. And then we went limited again on Friday, and that was when we just made the decision to go with Mason. So the injury's real. He tried to fight through it. I appreciate the toughness and the willingness, but felt good coming off the break, felt good last week. And then as the game went along and he ended up feeling what it felt like with pressure to make the throw, it didn't feel as good as he maybe thought he did going into it. So I made the decision, it's my decision to sit him, just because I didn't feel like he could play at the level he needed to play to come in here and win in Buffalo. So that's usually how those injuries go, and he tried to fight through it, and ultimately I decided that it wasn't in his best interest to go out there if he wasn't all the way healthy.
What is his status to week?
Yeah, it'll be week to week. We'll see how he feels this week. See how he throws it Wednesday. But really the problem with AC, those injuries in his shoulder is they just need rest. And he tried to fight through it again. I appreciate that. Try to fight for his teammates and come play. But, at the end of the day, those things just need some rest. And right now, that was the right decision for him. So it'll be week to week, and we'll see how he comes out of it.
There's Titans head coach Brian Callahan after the loss to the Bills yesterday. What do we make of that?
Yeah, I'm glad he explained it because I'll be the first to say I was confused as heck as to what was going on with this whole situation. And I don't think any of us really thought during the week that Mason Rudolph was even an option to start because everything seemed to be progressing, well with Will Levis, even though he spoke on Wednesday and answered my question about his shoulder not being 100% yet. But then again, we just assumed, that was kind of the case in the game that prior Sunday because he even said after the game, my shoulder's not 100%. They still played him. But as it was explained by Callahan, it seemed to progressively gotten worse throughout that game. Yeah. He started the game, it felt well. And then as he started to throw on it, it started to bother him. And then he wasn't able to make some of those throws. So it does make more sense now, the timeline of it. But the big question moving forward, guys, is exactly what Callahan said. If he's week to week, day to day, whatever, then he might not even be able to play this weekend.
All right.
And again, you're stalled then in seeing what they want to see out of Will Levis is, we want to see everything we can about Will. Well, this is going to make it more difficult too because now you kind of have to sit him.
It does. And it also, too, man, the young guys, and I had this problem, and I mean, even in my older years, like it's hard to be truthful about how you honestly feel when you're a competitor like that. Like, Will has to be able to be on the same page with the head coach and say, Coach, I'm a little iffy. Yeah. That way you can get a full week of prep, right? That way you can really set the game plan for the guy that's going to be in there. That, to me, may be the biggest issue of it all. And I'm sure they probably had a conversation, and hopefully Callahan and Nick Holst told Levis, hey, you can't help us if you're injured. That's the biggest mistake that was made this weekend as far as the reps that you get with the ones,
Does a trainer get involved in this situation where that trainer can kind of say, look, this isn't a good situation to put him out there? Because I do wonder, was it just all on Will to say if he felt okay?
I think it was a little bit of both because here's the thing about it. That's one of those things you can MRI and I can be hurt, but I can still have good motion and feel like I can go. Right. I can take a couple of leave or, anti-inflammatory and feel good until it wears off. Right. Those are the issues that you have. They got to listen to Will, too.
Yeah, because Adam Schefter's calling it a 2 AC sprain is what he reported yesterday.
Grade 2 AC sprain, that would be considered a 4 to 5 week injury, according to his tweet.
Yeah, it's one of those things when pitchers in baseball have bad injuries, like they shut them down immediately, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's the motion of your throwing. Like, you're not going to do anything to help it but rest. That's the only way to get by it. So if it's 4 weeks, just be more honest in a week. And again, Will's a young pro. He's figuring this stuff out as far as transparency. You just put your team in a bad situation if the week of prep ain't there for the guys that's going to be out there.
Now it might be longer because you could have done a little bit further damage to it.
Exactly. Hurt yourself more.
I think the tricky part is, like, if he'd played well against the Colts and they'd won, I think he probably still plays in Buffalo. Like, the performance has to be part of it.
Yeah, it is. And again, winning hides a lot. You'll push through a lot of crap just to get to the other side because, hey, we're winning. Like, when you lose like this, everything sucks. You know how it is, Will. If you're not having good times, whatever, when it comes to running, like, my ankle hurts a little bit more. Like, that's where he has to get to winning. Losing that game last week to the Colts did not help whatsoever.
Well, and I just think, too, like, he's not blind to the opportunity Mason Rudolph had to just take over his job if he doesn't play. Like, ultimately, the Titans gave themselves a situation yesterday where they could move on without really totally moving on from Will Levis.
Because if Mason Rudolph would have played, well in that second half, even if they got a really close loss, right? And Mason performed well in the second half. It wasn't night and day. Maybe even then you're having that conversation. But for sure, if they would have pulled out a win, I think that would have been, boom, a controversy right there.
Well, they benched him without having to really bench him.
In that situation right there, I'll push back just a little bit.
I'm not saying, like, obviously they didn't, I don't think he's lying. Brian Callahan has been pretty honest when he speaks, but, like, ultimately, they had the opportunity to go away from Will, which if they just bench him for performance, once you do that, you kind of can't go back.
Riddle me this. First half of that game yesterday, the conversation was, we're moving on. What did you have that conversation? Like, legitimately have that conversation
and then
to yourself?
I went back and watched it, and I think a lot of what was good for the Titans was because the Bills were not catching balls thrown right at them or recovering fumbles that were there for them to be recovered.
That's fair.
That came their way.
For me, it wasn't as good, the first half performance, as I felt it was live when I went back and watched it after the fact.
I thought the first half they were a little bit more physical than Buffalo. I thought Buffalo had a little bit of a hangover
And they
coming
ran the
back
ball.
home, and they ran the ball well.
Which
and
they've
again,
done all season.
The other side of this thing, too, and I think we got to give a little bit of grace, too, to the quarterbacks, both of them. That right tackle position is way below the line.
It's brutal, man.
Yeah.
When you can't get
really
a pass off, right? And the one thing about JC getting beat yesterday, Epinesa just worked him.
You can't even get a screen off.
You can't even get a screen off, and they're right in your lap. The middle screen that they had up the middle, I'm thinking to myself, like, where's that? You know, like, why is there so much trash? Or why the D lineman coming up the field so much more? Man, there's a lot of things that have to be cleaned up.
But again, I can put a little on that situation too. Of they're waiting to see. Oh, we're giving all these guys opportunities. I think by now who these guys are. I could have told you at the end of last year. I didn't really think Jalen Duncan was a guy that could be a starter in this league. That's my personal opinion. I don't think it should take this long to figure out that you don't have a right tackle. Again, you could have went out and got a guy like Chris Hubbard that was on the Niners practice squad that obviously is also familiar with his connections to the Niners. And instead, he went to, I think, the Giants.
I think so.
And now you got a situation where there's not really much left out there. And even Callahan said that yesterday.
I think you could say the same about Nicholas Petit-Frere, who's had
100%.
longer in the league than Jalen Duncan has.
I think all of the reads on what these guys are is just not good enough.
The one we're up against it right now was a quick. The one thing about MPF was this: MPF missed a crucial second year last year. Considering that there wasn't many right tackles, I don't think that you were willing to pay high dollar for in the rebuild. You had to at least let him get through training camp and see what he was going to do. Now, again, Jalen Duncan was supposed to take that second-year jump. Did not happen then either. You also had an offensive line coach and Bill Callahan that was supposed to set these guys up, and I think for the most part has tried to. We're seeing 4 of the 5 answer the call, right? For the most part, more consistently than what's happening at right tackle. MPF missed last year, and I think the assumption was he was going to be and take that second-year step. I just at this point, don't think he has it in him to compete the way you need him to, because Greg Rousseau might be 260 and a very slender guy. For him to just lose ground the way he did yesterday, he got bullied.
And Nicholas Petit-Frere was a third-round pick, number 69 overall. Jalen Duncan was number 186. Yeah. So there's also different expectations there for a guy that's a third-round pick who needs to be contributing way more quickly than a sixth-round pick who you feel like has some talent and intangibles, and it might take you a couple years to polish some of the skills and make him into a pro.
So for the folks that are pushing this one, like, it's fool. I guess I'm a fool as a coach to believe these guys aren't going to do their jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's foolish of me to think that you're not going to do your job. And I feel like that's what's happened the last couple of weeks at that position. I'm supposed to believe that my technique, my teaching, my expertise at this, you're supposed to be good at it. And these dudes aren't. Jalen had the hamstring. But like MPF, be mentally locked in, be physically imposing.
Jalen's actually had issues all year in terms of injuries,
it's foolish of me to believe that you're going to do your job is where I'm at right now.
615-737-1045 is our number. There was a question in the F&M Bank chat, which leads us into our next conversation. Is Rand still cooking? A question we were asked. How much pressure is there on the coaching staff and the front office to turn things around or else? We asked for approval ratings on Twitter last night from you guys, and you guys are telling us an interesting story. We'll dive into that next. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling here from my friends at Lee Company. To all my facility managers out there, how are your electrical fixtures doing? Do you have a flickering light or two? Maybe your power outlets are inconsistent, or you're looking to install a generator to be prepared for the next big weather storm. Well, no matter your electrical problem, the team at Lee Company is here to help. For over 80 years, their expert electricians have been here to make your life easier and to keep your place of business running efficiently. Available 24/7, 365. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or contact them online at leecompany.com. That's professional electricians for any type of facility. When you put Lee Company on your team, they are there available to help you out 24/7, 365. The number again, 615-567-1000 or online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. Hour 2 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues this morning live in studio on 104.5 The Zone and streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV. Your thoughts in the F&M Bank chat on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Let's go to the phones before we have a larger discussion on seats that may or may not be hot in the Titans organization. Let's go to Eric, who is in Charlotte this morning. What's going on, Eric? Good morning.
Tennessee whiskey.
I can hear that voice there.
All right, listen, first of all, I love y'all. Y'all, it's my show. Look, last time I called, I said I came off with a little Rudolph the red nose. Okay, kind of put my mouth. Got it.
I remember that.
I like to go ahead and, be responsible and take, responsibility for whatever. I wanted him, but I ain't liking it. Now, let me get this so I can get off here. Vrabel had his shit.
Whoa!
But sorry.
Got some of the language.
But I think this team fights better, competes better with him at the helm. I know Cleveland looking crazy, but I feel like with this roster, they better. That's all I wanted, and that's one thing I feared when we lost Mike Vrabel. Not so, I'm just crazy about him, but I felt like he was good enough coach to give him this type of roster. I want to see what he can do with some talent, and I feared that you fire Mike Vrabel, you're going to be trying to find a head coach every 2 years. In my opinion, so I don't think the Bills are that much better than us. I think that they had a 10 times more better quarterback and a head coach that's 10 times better.
Eric, question for you, though. To that point about Vrabel, how much accountability does he have to take then because his staff couldn't develop the talent that the Titans brought in?
So, and there's where I admitted with a lot of people and agreed when it comes to him being stubborn and not wanting to let coaches go.
Right.
And that's where I wish he would have been better with that. Just go ahead and let dude go. You know what I mean? Look a man in the face and say, hey, man, you're a great person.
Yep.
I got to move forward without you. And he wasn't able to do that. So I got it. At the end of the day, he's not here. Let me hurry up so nobody's waiting on me. I get rebuilding. I do. I played college football. I've seen some things happen, didn't agree with some coaches. I'm going to say it's just tough when you go out there and spend money in the offseason and what you think are great pieces and they come in and it doesn't pan out.
Yeah,
and then when I called, I told you guys they're going to test Will Levis. Rudolph is going to start. He's a deep ball guy, and they're going to see that his shoulder's not ready. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
And they didn't even do that on the bye week. So if you didn't do that on the bye week, why would you put him in with the – I'm not getting this whole thing. I feel like if we would have won yesterday, he's starting for the rest of the season, and the injury deal here, it's like you use that to try to say, that's why we put – I didn't like that.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate the call.
One thing I'll say about Eric, sometimes you got to remember, I know we get heated on this show. We've got to hold ourselves back sometimes.
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel, there were a lot of good things about Mike Vrabel's coaching, but what I think essentially got him fired was the stubbornness. That's part of it, right? And the development of homegrown guys. I think he was great at bringing guys in that fit his system and fit his culture, and then they could step in and play right away. The ones that he'd go pluck from other teams. He'd also have a way with rallying these guys and winning these types of games that you're not supposed to win. I'll give him credit on those fronts, but that's not good enough to sustain and to continue to build on a team because you're not developing those players. And when it's all said and done, Ramon's brought this up several times in the last few weeks, these teams that are having success, they're homegrown. And that's just right now not what the Titans have enough of.
Well, and I think, too, though, those wins weren't happening at the end of Vrabel, though. He was 6-18 in his last 24 games. I think there's a lot of revisionist history on Twitter and on social media about the Mike Vrabel era today.
With a veteran quarterback mostly, too, and Ryan Tannehill. There's that side of it, too. All right.
Yeah. So we got a lot of those comments yesterday, and it brings up the question I was going to ask, and we put it on Twitter yesterday, your approval ratings of the coach and the front office. As these losses stack up, how much pressure is on the front office and the coaching staff to turn things around and show you progress or else have the house be cleaned? Because a lot of times Amy Adams-Strunk will make decisions as an owner before a lot of owners would. There are a lot of owners that would still have Mike Vrabel be coaching the Titans today. I think there are a lot of owners that would have still had John Robinson as the general manager of the Titans when he got let go. So Amy Adams-Strunk has shown us that she is not afraid to make hard decisions when she feels like they are best for this organization, for the franchise, as they build a new stadium and want to put a winning team on the field in that new stadium. So how much pressure is on the coaching staff and the front office this year right now?
Being real with you, in my honest opinion, I don't think it's that much. I think losing puts fan pressure on them, but inside that building, I can't see much pressure being added to them. Like, there's a feel element of it for sure, of trying to get the best out of. I think the biggest detriment that you have is having a head coach right now that's calling the plays and the offense looks anemic. Okay, to me, that is the biggest, just like, okay, is he figuring it out or will he figure it out as far as Brian Callahan is concerned? That, to me, might be the biggest thing. All right, how much does he learn from year 1 to year 2 and how he crafts a game plan, right? How much better would this offense be if you didn't have a right tackle letting defenders be put in the quarterback's lap, right? And again, so you asked the question, is Rand still cooking to me? Did he cook, right? That's the biggest question that we have. Here's the thing about it. That individual or Chad Brinker or Anthony Robinson, they don't call plays, they don't play either. So we need to separate the two as it pertains to what's what and what's happening on the field.
Yeah.
Where would this team be if you didn't at least, well, there ain't much I can say when they 1-5 as far as what would they be. But here's the thing about it. The offseason was set up in a way that you got guys that you thought that would help you win. I think most people, when the Calvin, I remember I was riding my bike on a bike trail by Innsworth when it happened. When the Calvin Ridley news broke.
That was fireworks. Streamers going off.
And
Sound the
L'Jarius
horns.
Sneed.
Did he cook then? Right? And Kayla, L'Jarius Sneed. Did we not have another set of fireworks? It was more fireworks than what Nealon had.
Oh, yeah.
Correct? So the idea, did the front office do what you wanted to do? The answer is yes. You went out and took a chance on a second-round D tackle that had some blemishes. Is that not working out? Yes, it is. You have right now Ernest Jones, who's played well. I know he got broke down yesterday on the field by Shakir. What is it?
Khalil Shakir.
Khalil Shakir. But, like, has he not been cooking there? Yes. Has Kenneth Murray made plays for this
I was
team?
going to say Kenneth Murray for the most part.
Has
He got
Jarvis
hurt
Brownlee
yesterday.
turned into a guy for you? Yes. Is J.C. Latham turned into a dude that you can see as a future franchise left tackle? Yes. Has Peter Skoronski taken a better step? Yes. Right. Has Lloyd Cushenberry somewhat stabilized this group up front? Yes. Has Dylan Radins, now his guy, I can't mention him, okay?
Right.
All right, so there's neglect at right tackle. How much can you spend in the offseason, and who was the right tackle that you wanted if you asking the question,
Chris
did
Hubbard.
he cook?
Look.
But
You could have brought in someone else for pennies.
You could.
Who'd be better than who you have.
Look,
I think they deserve some criticism for that.
I'll give you that.
Here's
yes.
what I will say. They are digging themselves out of a hole that I do not care what anybody else says. I will stand on this. John Robinson put them in. John Robinson put them in a hole with draft picks, period. He was not hitting on first rounders. He had plenty of guys that just aren't not even on the team after a couple of years. He let some guys go, and I'm not saying it's all John Robinson's fault, but he did put them in a hole. And when Rand Carthon came on, he is tasked to help dig them out of a hole. And guess what?
We're deep.
The hole doesn't get dug out of in one freaking day if you're burying bodies in there, right? I mean, you're digging that hole for a while. You're buried down deep. It's going to take a while. And unfortunately, there's got to be patience in that homegrown building process. In the last 2 years, 2023, 2024, if you really look down the list of guys that they have hit on as an organization, there's more goods right now than there are bads.
Yeah.
And that's, in my eyes, facts. If you go down at Peter Skoronski, that's going to turn out, it looks like, to be a hit. Will Levis, probably not, but that was a reach. I think they just went and got him to get him. Tajay Spears, check. Josh Wiley, looking good this year, check. Jalen Duncan, miss. Colton Dow, question mark, because he's hurt, right? And then this last year, you said it, J.C. Latham, Tavondre Sweat. Cedric Gray, we don't know because he's been injured. Jarvis Brownlee, yes. Jaquan Jackson, yes. So you get what I'm saying. The foundation is starting to be built, but it's going to take more than 2 drafts. So I'm not going to blame this on Rand Carthon by any means and think he should be fired. I think he'll get some time.
But at the same time, he did this front office. I won't say he did. This front office took a risk and bought low with a high ceiling on Will Levis, and it does not appear that that was the right decision. Right decision is tricky because, again, you took a risk. You can get out after a couple of years. You can move on and try it again.
At least it wasn't a first round
for
pick.
2024, almost. I mean, yes, they didn't use the number 11 pick on him. That'd be a worse situation. But at the same time, quarterback was a miss at this point. And
it's a miss for a lot of organizations.
It is unfair to say that that's everything because there are good things that are happening. But the good that is going on around the roster has been undone because the quarterback position has been so bad. So there has to be accountability for that as well.
I agree with you on that.
And there always should be accountability. Absolutely, right?
I think A.B. Adams-Strunk will be making the wrong decision by firing anyone in the front office or coaching staff this year. Because when I watch that game again, I see a team that is young, that is inexperienced, that most of the time when they can't move the ball on offense, it's because somebody got a penalty early in the drive or they just didn't do anything on first down. They are shooting themselves in the foot time and time again. Unfortunately, that is just now the identity of this Titans team. We can no longer have the conversation to say, oh, they're better what the record shows. When you're 1-5, you're just a 1-5 team, man. At this point, you can't have if they just keep beating themselves. When you beat yourselves through week 7, that's just who you are. You're the team that beats themselves. That is your identity. So unfortunately, the Titans had a flimsy foundation of young, inexperienced players and well-paid, aging veterans.
Yeah.
And they hoped the mix of those two would come together and build a better team with a better roster.
They tried.
This is a better roster. This is a worse team than 2023. So my question is, how much of that falls on the coaching staff for not getting more out of a roster that on paper should be better than what they were last season?
And I think it just all revolves around the quarterback, unfortunately, because I don't think the defense, and I know the defense had a tough day in that second half specifically, but I don't worry about the defense as much. I just worry about this offense, and I just think it all starts with the quarterback position. It sucks to say that, and that you don't have that right now, and maybe Brian Callahan is going to be given the opportunity to go get his quarterback. Now, if it doesn't work with that, then he gone.
Well,
right?
again, but that's the question I'm asking. If they still got quarterback wrong, that was this front office's pick.
Wasn't Callahan's, though.
I know, but the question I'm asking is how much accountability does everyone have to take here? Because this front office picked the QB.
I think you had to try to make it work if you could, just because it is a second-round pick, like you're saying, Will. And I do think it is tough in this day and age. A lot of these teams do not hit on the quarterback. Even in the first round, a lot of these teams aren't hitting on quarterbacks. Sometimes there's teams that take 2 quarterbacks in a draft, right? One early on, one later. Because, heck, maybe the other one is a Brock Purdy. And this is true. I mean, we saw New England do it this year. And I know Joe Milton's probably not going to be the guy, but they've given him an opportunity to compete, right? And sometimes teams will take risks.
And that's essentially what you're playing at this point, too, with the quarterback position to that point. So here's the thing. It falls on Rand and Vrabel as far as the Levis pick goes. I do think there's a point to be had to where Callahan may have to pick his guy if this Will Levis thing don't work out. Legit. And I think right now, we see the writing on the wall a little bit more than we have. I don't know if Will Levis get healthy. What plan does Coach Brian Callahan have for Will Levis that's going to turn him over? Because he seems to have some internal things going on as it pertains to his play, right? And so here's my thing about it, too, the firing conversation. I've seen it happen on social media a ton. And not just from fans, but I've seen it from people that have blogs or have shows. It to me is, if you're going to fire him, then what are you doing? Because here's the thing behind it. Now, so, Houston did it. Well, here's the thing. Houston did fire 2 people, but I think they had more than just play on the field. They had eternal stuff going on.
11-38 in 3 seasons under 3 head coaches.
And I don't know, they're close. And I don't know if the Titans have the cash on hand, and I'm sure they can find it to fire a coach and then fire another one and have them on the books, right?
That's a fair point.
So here's the other side of that, too. If we're dealing with those issues right there, and then we can be jealous of what Houston or Detroit has. How bad was Detroit before they got to this point, right? And now we're at that point to where they drafted O-line, they drafted D-line, they found their guy quarterback, and they got a trade from the Rams. My point is this, I'm about to wrap it up. If you want what Houston did, then you need to make some Houston moves. The issue is you don't have a Houston chess piece. You don't have a Houston silver bullet. We talked about this. You don't have a Deshaun Watson value on this team. 100%. And I know, but we got Jeff. Jeff's a D lineman. Respectfully to Jeff, I don't know if Jeff is going to get you 2 or 3 first rounders.
No.
To reset what Houston was capable of doing in the draft.
I think that is fair context because the conversation of, well, Houston had 3 coaches in 3 years, and they weren't afraid to tear it all down immediately and go again. Houston doesn't have the roster it doesn't have right now if Cleveland doesn't completely overpay and give them a silver bullet lifeline for a terrible quarterback who got cheered yesterday when his Achilles popped. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So the question, is the front office fine? Is the coaching staff fine? Yeah, I think so. I heard yesterday, and this is one of those things that's pros. We somewhat set the tone of what we do at this show and this station and just in general.
Yep.
As it pertains to how you do your job and what you say, I ain't got no problem with it. But I do have a problem with it when it comes to a point to where you say Bill Callahan should be put in the home for making the decision of putting NPF out there when it wasn't the plan in totality. I heard that yesterday. I was just like, be put in the home?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yo.
In the isms that we live in, that's a little bit of ageism in a sense. You shouldn't.
It's too far.
Because, again, it wasn't the plan to put NPF out there. It was Jalen Duncan. And, again,
they
what
said
answer
they
do
were
you
going to give
have
them
at
all
right tackle
opportunities.
anyway?
That's live reps in a game. So
we got to be real about what's actually happening.
I think any decision Amy Adams-Strunk makes to fire a coach or anyone in that front office this year would be premature and the wrong decision. Because I think this organization in the front office has made enough good picks to start to build a foundation that if you tore it all down again, you are undoing the little progress you have made to build a foundation. But I do think with Amy Adams-Strunk's track record, it's not a foregone conclusion that everyone is totally safe, in my opinion. I think it would be premature, but I think Amy Adams-Strunk has shown us that she is not afraid. If she feels like she needs to make a decision and do something different, she'll do it.
And part of that could be, like you said, a trade that maybe, does involve, even though you said Jeff Simmons isn't going to get as much
I think
back.
it's definitely on the table.
I mean, that's on the table. I think coaching changes within the staff is definitely on the table, even maybe this year.
615-737-1045. Lots of you want to get in on this discussion. We will open the phones for your reaction on the future of the Titans moving forward. Coming up next. Go where the pros go. Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. That's where I would go if I want my lawn to look the best in the neighborhood. That's where you should go as well. Will Bowling here with Trey Hartsook. And Trey, you guys have the best machines out there. If you're looking to upgrade the mower, you guys have got a lot of great options.
And one of the nation's top Ford dealers right here in our backyard. Two Rivers Ford. Remember that name. Two Rivers has been a staple in our community since 1983. They're locally owned. They have a non-commissioned sales team, and they sell below MSRP. They've been doing business with integrity for decades. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues in hour number 2, 615-737-1045. We asked the question before the break. As pressure begins to mount, is anyone on the hot seat or on the chopping block this year in any scenario? I think we all agree the answer is no. Shouldn't be, right?
Not right now.
That's the official RKW stance?
I think so.
Shouldn't be right now.
What say you? 615-737-1045. Josh is in Bowling Green up first. What's up, Josh?
Good morning, y'all. How are y'all doing?
Good morning.
Hey, Mon, I'm originally from Springfield. I was a year older than your family, Big Clay Bay.
Okay.
But here's where I'm at with it, man. When we going to start calling a spade? I believe it's all on the front office, man. For one, how many future Hall of Famers have we had come through Nashville as an organization that they just take a chance on? Back to the drops with Ridley, I did the research on it and targeted over 100 times last year. There's only one player in the league that had more drops than him, and that was DK Metcalf. I think Callahan was an okay hire, but putting him on for a first-time play caller as well as a first-time head coach is just too much. I just feel like our draft picks are terrible. Our ownership is terrible. If you want to put our ownership in the dictionary with a picture beside it, it would be called, it's a risk reward. That's all we've ever done. We're always drafting people who's been hurt, coming back from leg injury. Traylon Burks, hey, he's got asthma. What about the DB or the safety? What was it 4 or 5 years ago that we just cut? Yeah, I mean, it's every single year we take chance after chance after chance. And me personally, been a Titans fan my entire life. I'm sick of it.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate the call.
We got
to keep it moving. Got a lot of people on. I do think at this point, that's why that front office isn't here anymore. So I don't know if you can blame this front office for Traylon Burks and Caleb Farley. They didn't pick Caleb Farley or Traylon Burks. They're gone.
Or Isaiah Wilson.
It's true. So, well, yes, the front office deserves criticism. You're talking about a different front office than we are. I think you have had good draft picks this time around. Joe is in Nashville up next. What's up, Joe?
Hey, guys. Really enjoy your show.
Thank you.
Appreciate you having me on. I just had to make a comment on the apologizing for Rand Carthon. One thing you got to realize, and I'm going to quote General George Patton when he said that there is no such thing as weak teams, but only weak leaders. Rand Carthon has had 3 off seasons to address the offensive line. Okay? Now, you talked about you got to build a foundation. Well, you don't build a foundation by getting rid of all your good pieces. And then,
what good old line did he get? What good old line did he get?
He's only had 2 off seasons as well.
He got his coupon book out to go find guys from San Diego State of the blind. He didn't go out and get any offensive linemen, and then he waited
Lloyd Cushenberry,
smiling, saying, "Oh yeah, I'll draft a linebacker. Go out and get some offensive linemen."
Well, he
got J.C. Latham,
Lloyd Cushenberry, and J.C. Latham.
Henry's doing.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate the call.
Not quite understand.
He did go get offensive linemen. That's the thing. He got Sadiq Charles too, and he retired.
He's trying to get what that John Robinson didn't get. Because he had to. There's so much work on the line up to this point that they're trying to get that. Peter Skoronski, J.C. Latham, Lloyd Cushenberry, like you mentioned, and that was a free agency pickup.
My only pushback is you honestly, right, wrong, or indifferent, it seems wrong. You had to see MPF through. You had to.
They took a gamble and it didn't work.
Because they didn't have anything there.
They also took a gamble on Devondre Sweat and it did work. Sometimes it comes up aces. Sometimes you get a pair of 2s in your hand. You just got to figure out whether or not it's going to work with the river card. Didn't work with NPF, worked with others.
He's only had 2 draft classes, by the way, not 3.
Yeah, he's only had.
Yeah, I said that too. He's only had 2 off seasons. Really 1 full off season last year.
Yeah.
He kind of walked into a draft board that was already built in 2023. This was his first real 100%. I'm going to scout everything. I'm going to put together the infrastructure, the scouting, and I'm going to pick a whole draft class. This front office. Yeah. And the early returns are pretty good. Part of it. Oh. Chad's in Nashville next. Go ahead, Chad.
On Kayla's point, you're talking about building a franchise, and yeah, sometimes it's done within, but you can look at many examples where it's not done within. The Rams, how many first-round draft picks have they traded in the last 10 years? Look at the Tampa Bay run. That was all done with basically free agents. Tom Brady, Gronk, the running back was for Fournette. So the point is, you have to recognize each draft and what the strengths are and how you're going to build this team. I just don't see the resources here with the Titans being able to identify that. And, if you look at, take out if you like Mike Vrabel or you like Allen, if you look at the way that Vrabel commanded his locker room, and I know a lot of the media didn't like the way maybe he ran his press conferences, but if you look like his football product, you look at his locker room, night and day better football coach Mike Vrabel. If you just in a lot more experience, you look at the pedigree from Belichick, you look where he came from, and I think it was just more of a personality conflict that happened with Amy Strunk and some of that stuff that happened when they had the Hall of Fame days up in Gillette Stadium. But I just think that you really made a colossal mistake. If you're going to fire Vrabel, you better have a better contingency plan. And so I guess working my way back to a lot of ways to rebuild this thing, they just better recognize in the future drafts, like this next draft is probably not a quarterback draft. So you can't just draft people. You have to realize how good the draft is and where the talent pool is.
Thank you, Chad.
Around.
We appreciate the call. The issue with making the Rams comparison is like the Rams traded all these draft picks. The Rams drafted exceptionally on days 2 and 3 of the draft to allow themselves to then trade day 1 picks and supplement a roster that had already been built. Like the Rams went out and got Matthew Stafford, not immediately. They did that because they got guys like Cooper Kupp on days 2 and 3. So that's not a fair comparison to make.
And
Bert, you want a nugget real quick, or are you out?
No, I'm cool with it. And talking about the Bucs, to your point, Will, about drafting well, there's only 3 players on the Bucs right now starting that they did not draft.
Right.
The left guard, the quarterback, and a wide receiver. Everybody else they drafted.
And look, you did have a Titans team with Ryan Tannehill, who was not a draft pick, where you went and got him. It kind of worked out for a minute. You got
after you'd built a foundation.
Right. You got close to getting to that point.
And it wasn't just personality. They got Mike Vrabel fired. The guy was 6-18 in his last 24 games.
Y'all,
this idea that Amy just didn't like working with Mike, so she got rid of him. Yeah, maybe they didn't clash personality-wise because he was 6-18 in his last 24 games.
And look, I liked Mike Vrabel. I liked covering. He was stubborn, guys.
100%.
There should have been a lot more firings than there was within his staff.
It's not just that they didn't want to sit with each other at the lunch table anymore. Coming up, more of your phone calls and guys, the sun rose. The happiness. It's going to start coming up.
I can't tell right now.
The scent of cigar smoke is about to fill Nashville, Tennessee, because we get to shift to Tennessee.
I don't know.
We get to shift to the Vols just a little bit. Not more than just a little bit. We will take your calls if you want to talk Titans.
My heart rate.
But the Vols beat Alabama on a Tennessee Saturday night. Coming up next.
Well, y'all, it's here. Genesis Diamond's largest ever sale on luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. You've been hearing about this, and it's huge. If you've dreamed of wearing a Rolex, you can't miss this special 2-day event this Friday and Saturday. During this event, you can take advantage of special pricing and zero-interest financing on a stunning selection of luxurious pre-owned Rolex timepieces. Genesis has brought in hundreds and hundreds, the hottest model Rolexes, watches that you can find anywhere, okay? Every one of Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes is in pristine, like new condition. Some just out of the box, too, and all prices sell at this event. And listen to this. With the purchase of any luxury pre-owned Rolex at this event, Genesis will give you a pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings free. That's a $3,000 value. And if you own a Rolex, Genesis buyers are on site and offering top dollars for your watch, so you can buy, sell, or trade. So come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state and take advantage of the special financing and also get a pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings for free. It's this Friday and this Saturday only, and only at Genesis Diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
This is your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by State Water Heaters.
Logano's luck
in Las Vegas. After being the last driver to qualify for the round of 8 and qualifying only because Alex Bowman's car failed post-race inspection last week and was disqualified, Joey Logano is the first driver to qualify for the Final Four, getting the win at Sunday's South Point 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Logano, a two-time series champion, passed and then held off Christopher Bell on the final laps to take the checkered flag and instantly qualify for the championship race. Bell led a race-high 156 laps, which totaled over half the race. The next race in the round of 8 is set for next Sunday at Homestead Miami Speedway for the Straight Talk Wireless 400. Coverage will begin at 1:30 Central on NBC. To Formula One, Ferrari finished 1-2 at the Circuit of the Americas outside Austin, as Charles Leclerc won with teammate Carlos Sainz in second.
This has been your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by State Water Heaters. I'm Liz Allison. If there's anything that I don't like, it's not having enough hot water. That was me way too often until I switched to a State brand tankless water heater. Not only do I never run out of hot water, but I'm saving on my utility bill every month. State Water Heaters makes gas and electric, standard efficiency to high efficiency water heaters, and of course, my personal favorite, tankless water heaters, where the hot water never runs out. Visit statewaterheaters.com and click on the Find a Local Installer link on the main page, and you'll be on your way to owning your very own State brand water heater, just like me.
What's going on? 8:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Titans fall at the hands of the Bills and Josh Allen 34-10. 5 days after arriving in Buffalo following a trade with Cleveland, Amari Cooper turned his first catch in the Bills' debut to a go-ahead touchdown.
On 2nd and 10, Allen drops, throws, and there he is. Amari Cooper's first catch as a Buffalo Bill is a go-ahead touchdown with 10:23 to go in the third quarter.
Cooper finished with 4 catches for 66 yards on 18 offensive snaps. The Bills moved to 5-2, while the Titans fall to 1-5, with the Detroit Lions looming for next week. Sunday Night Football, Steelers beat down on the Jets 37-15 in his Steeler debut. Russell Wilson finishing 16 of 29 for 265 yards with 2 passing touchdowns and another one on the ground. Another wide receiver making their debut with a new team, but Devontae Adams was less than impressive, catching 3 of 9 targets for 30 yards, and he had a pick-6 saving tackle. Steelers moved to 5-2, while the Jets fall to 2-5. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show, RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues on this Monday morning reaction show. 615-737-1045. Lots of you teed up to talk Titans. You can take it there. We're going to talk some Tennessee and Alabama coming up in just a few minutes, because the Vols, despite a bad half, still got the job done, made enough plays to win on Saturday in a way the Titans did not do yesterday. Bad Vols first halves, bad Titans second halves, despite the fact that those two situations are similar. Pretty much everything else between those two teams is very different at this moment. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Robert Walsh is our producer. The phone number is 615-737-1045. We've had a big discussion about the future of the Titans organization, about whether or not anyone could be on the hot seat this year. And many of you have thoughts. So shall we go back to the phones?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Go back to the phones.
Let the people preach.
Let's go to Jamie in White House, who has a question for Ramon. Good morning, Jamie.
What's up, Jamie?
Good morning. Ramon, man, I would say 99.999% of people call in never ever worked in the NFL in any shape, form, or capacity. So I have to ask you, when you were playing, how much were you coached up to become better? How much of it was that you just wanted to be a man and do your job, and you got better, and you just looked across the line and said, this guy's not going to beat me? That's my first part of the question, is because from me, an offensive line, I don't think we have that, or I don't think the Titans have that. And then the second thing is that, you know, I pay attention to the Steelers, being a Steelers fan. I see people asking all the time for Tomlin to be fired, but the Rooneys have made have a recipe. And what they do is, from a coaching standpoint, they stick with with their head coaches. They have changes, of course, and coordinators, but they also have a recipe of going out and finding players. So can you just enlighten us, educate us? Because some of these people called in sound very uneducated in how the NFL works. I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, first part of that, man, the coaching development and will to actually want to do it, man, that's the standard set. When I walked into the locker room my rookie year, like, there were older guys that would set, like, the culture in place. Like, this is how we do stuff. Oh, you got beat today? Well, you going to kick his butt tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, those types of things happen. I got to act like, no, I'm going to make the statement. There's not many guys inside of that room right now, especially on the offensive side. I ain't too much worried about the defense that have had enough years in the league to set that type of tone, to tell dudes, like, hey, I was with a group, man, that had a rookie fry chicken at 2 o'clock in the morning and bring to us at 6. And you might say, Mom, that's a bit much. That don't mean nothing about football. No, it's everybody plays a part. You as a rookie, you get nothing right now, because why? We have a standard in which you got to somewhat please us and what we're asking our guys to do. There ain't a lot of that. There's a lot of young or new leading the young, right? That's what you have with a lot of that turnover. Other side of it, man, it's time on building this up. And I know you hate to hear that, but when we have that conversation, do you tank or do you win? This is where we're at right now. We're not in tank mode. We're in losing mode right now. A lot of people can't stomach what Detroit, and I keep bringing them up, Houston, right? You can't stomach being where the Jets, Right? Think about where they are. They got an owner right now, Woody Johnson, that bent the knee to everything that Aaron Rodgers went and got him a wide receiver, picked all his friends, went out this past week and got Hassan Reddick, and they're still losing. They got embarrassed last night.
And Dan Campbell 3-13-1 in his first season as the head coach in Detroit.
What are we talking about? Like it takes time, and I know we want this microwave. I saw somebody say that. We want a foundation built on sand. You know what a foundation built on sand leaves you? Right where the Jaguars are again.
Zach Taylor was 2-14 in 2019 and 4-11 in his second season. He was 6-26-1 in his first 2 seasons as the head coach of the Bengals.
And Brian Callahan's talked a lot about that too, just kind of seeing that firsthand, what it was like, and knowing what you've got to get through. And sometimes it is going to be a lot of adversity, which I think this season, unfortunately, where we're at, guys, is going to be just that.
Here's the other part of that. All of those teams you just mentioned who rebuilt had a quarterback to lift all boats.
Mm-hmm.
The quarterback is the tide that lifts all boats.
Right. And you might have to wait for it till next year.
D'Amico Ryans had C.J. Stroud. Zach Taylor had Joe Burrow. Dan Campbell had Jared Goff, a better version of Jared Goff.
Sure.
Brian Callahan has Will Levis and Mason Rudolph.
Mm-hmm.
Could have had Malik Willis as part of it. They chose not to keep him around.
Do you think he'd have worked in this offense?
No.
Nope.
All right.
But again, I'm just giving you all the facts.
I know.
I think he's in a better place there for what he can do for his future.
But again, the question is, does this front office get another chance, according to the owner, to pick another quarterback and try again? I think they should. I think they probably will. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Amy decides to bring somebody else in to get the quarterback decision right.
Let's compare apple to apples because misery loves company, right?
Sure.
Who's in a worse situation? The Jets and what they got going on with all the money they spent forgave Hassan Reddick?
I don't think they're in a worse situation.
Or I do.
With the schedule they have left this season, I don't think they have a really easy schedule.
Have they netted what they thought they would? Their expectations?
No, their
absolutely
expectations
not.
was getting to the Super Bowl.
Everything is still in front of them, though. They have a really easy schedule.
Or what Jacksonville is right now, too.
I think the only teams you could say are definitely in a worse situation than the Titans, in my opinion, are the Panthers and Browns.
Oh,
because at least the Jags have a quarterback. I know he hasn't been as good compared to the Titans. They do, yes, absolutely.
Do they?
I think so.
I mean, he'd be the
he
Patriots
just got paid
team.
a
I
whole
expect
lot
this
of money.
team to
He
be.
hasn't been up to expectations, though.
That's supposed to be
he's
deep in the
least,
playoffs
he's
right
at
now.
least done it. Like Trevor Lawrence has had good moments. There's still something to build on there with Trevor Lawrence with a new head coach because that's the direction they'll go in next.
I mean, at this point, Levis has had good moments too.
Yeah, not as many as Trevor Lawrence. That's not the same situation.
My point is this. You can get out of Will Levis, Mason Rudolph.
Sure.
You can't get out of Aaron Rodgers or Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson right now.
You can get out of
Aaron Rodgers about done.
I mean, you're also going to have to pay like $120 million cap at this point.
And guess what? They haven't had a good history of picking quarterbacks as it is in the draft. Those have
Somebody
failed.
brought up the Colts. Where are the Colts at?
But they're better than I thought they would be, and I don't know how.
Is there quarterback?
Colts have a winning record. Colts are what, 4-2?
Because
Joe Flacco's helped him out, but Anthony Richardson technically got the win yesterday, right? I'm not saying I'm sold on him by any means, but they're finding ways to win, Moan. And that's when it comes down to it. This is what this team can't do.
Well, that's
4-3.
Again, they have a way better offensive line than this team down here too.
And that's
right
a
now.
good point. And we thought this line was going in the right direction. Which they did stack some good games.
That team was just better yesterday.
A lot better.
A lot better. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't pushing back on your point, but like that team was just a lot better.
Oh, it was.
And
I think they gave them some hope in that first half. Because they looked good.
Mark is in Nashville, 615-737-1045. Hey, Mark. Mark, what's up? Mark lost his chance.
Did you fall asleep, Mark?
Mark lost his chance. Duncan is in Murfreesboro. Go ahead, Duncan.
Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Good morning.
Hey, I'm on the side of I'm not on the side of some of the fans that I just heard talking about get rid of Rand and fire Callahan. I think, in my opinion, I think we need to keep him because, I mean, you give the man 2 years and now you're already talking about firing him. I mean, what he's drafted so far are solid picks. Besides Levis, every pick I like. And I think if you give him more time, he'll build a quality team. Like right now, I mean, you look at it, and we got a solid foundation. We just need a number one wide receiver. We need a edge rusher.
Right tackle.
a solid edge rusher, a right tackle, pretty much all the right sides.
I mean, they went out and signed a number one wide receiver in Calvin Ridley.
I don't, and no disrespect to Calvin Ridley, I don't think Calvin Ridley is the number one wide receiver. I think we need a solid number one, and I think we need to get him in the draft either this year or next year. And I would give Rand that opportunity. I don't know what kind of pressure he has to win now, but I wasn't expecting to be good.
Right.
After we lost Henry and Tannehill, I was expecting a little rebuild. And I think what Rand's done, he's brought some solid pieces and a good foundation to our team. Get a couple more pieces and rebuild into the draft, I think we're going to be a good team next few years.
Thank you, Duncan.
Yeah, Duncan, I think you have a good point. And it is going to take a few draft classes, right? And that's why Chad Brinker said we need as many draft pieces as possible, as many picks as possible. And that's why I don't think there's trading situations that could be happening.
And I think it rises up more.
Yeah.
But that's also, again, Chad Brinker's the guy that came from Green Bay, right? And that's all they do is hit on those those third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh round guys. Like, that's where your foundational pieces come from. And I ain't going to say foundation. Your first and second rounders is where they come from. But, like, that's how you build depth on a team and create your guys. Like, I'm here for it, Will. Like, I'm about to light this damn cigar here in a minute. You hear me, man? I'm at that point.
Set off the alarm. I don't care.
I mean, we got smoke alarms in here.
All right, here's what we're going to do coming up next. We got a couple of you who still want to get your thoughts in on the Titans, so we're going to do that. We're going to go totally rapid fire and just let you react. At 615-737-1045, then we're going to switch the gears and talk about Tennessee. Because the Vols, once again, for the second time in a row, found a way to win against Alabama at home on the third Saturday in October. Your Titans calls, then Vols. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. It's Monday Reaction Day on 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon and Kayla here for Window Nation, y'all. Man, listen, October's the best time to start buying new windows. Get them over right now. And the deal that they have is one of the best, if not the best in the nation, where you can buy 2 windows. Get 2 free plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years, Kayla.
That is right. And this is the company that does everything right when it comes to windows. They are the experts. They're professional installation teams, over 10 years of experience. Their customer service satisfaction rating, 96%. And when they go and install your windows, 96% of those windows installing require no follow-up service. So they're going to get it done, and they're going to get it done the right way the first time. And it's easy to get in on their deal that they have now. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, plus no down payment, no interest, and no payments for 24 months. All you got to do, give them a call, 866-90-NATION, or learn more online at windownation.com.
RKW Hour 3 continues on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Boulding. 615-737-1045, our number. Speaking on the future of the Titans organization, and we're just going to give you the mic. Reaction. Rapid fire on the phones before we switch gears and talk about Tennessee's win over Alabama on a Tennessee Saturday night. Specific word choice there. That was on purpose. Let's go to Ryan in Murfreesboro. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
So on the revenge game, the A.J. Brown revenge game, that hurt so bad if you were a Titans fan, and pretty much sealed John Robinson's fate. My question is, who hired John Robinson and who allowed him to make that trade that everybody hated so bad? But even more importantly, you look at some of the successful teams in the league that we wish that we could be right now. Would their owners have let their GMs make that A.J. Brown trade, that, let somebody like Jack Conklin go that we needed so badly on our right side? Like those type of decisions, are you giving 100% control to your GM in those situations if you're those owners, or are there lines that you don't cross and you say, no, on this player, it's not up for grabs? And does that determine a good owner from a bad owner? And that's my question. I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. The answer is yes. There are many owners that would allow their general managers to make that trade because the Kansas City Chiefs traded away Tyreek Hill and the Minnesota Vikings traded away Stephon Diggs and the Buffalo Bills traded away Stephon Diggs. Like, there's not just the Titans aren't the only team to ever trade a wide receiver who was about to get paid and try to draft somebody else to fill their spot. The unfortunate part of it is the guy they drafted to fill his spot has not remotely been up to the expectations of where he was picked. So again, it was a bad move. It was a bad trade, but let's not act like there aren't other teams that have done this and have success.
And I think it really quick. I think it was a more so visual bad move because of what you saw from Mike Vrabel, the reaction.
Didn't help.
Right? It wasn't like everybody was on the same page even.
I mean, granted, I'm not defending the A.J. Brown trade. It was awful. But it's not Amy Adams-Strunk's job to vet Treylon Burks as a wide receiver prospect and call John Robinson and say, well, no, I don't want you to do this because I don't like Treylon Burks and the way, he has combat catches or does this when he gets off the line with a free release. Like, that's not her job. So, no, I don't think that's fair.
Oh, it's not fair.
Although it was a bad move. Brian is in Nashville up next. Hey, Brian.
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Good morning.
First, I got two quick questions. So yesterday, what was the issue with D-Hop on the sidelines in the fourth quarter? He was standing behind standing behind the coach. And
quickly, I think it was frustration of lack of targets.
Other question is, I'm seeing some sort of trade proposal out there from the Lions for Harold Landry and Jeffrey Simmons for Hendon Hooker, Rakestraw Jr., and 2 draft picks. What's your thoughts on the Titans pulling off something like that?
I'd love to know the source of that one.
Yeah, I think that's more hearsay than anything
not to say it's not true
at this point.
But they're also about to play the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you see that in the middle of the week.
I think that's more people speculating on what a trade could look like that they, as a writer, would want. But I don't think that's a report of something that is being discussed. No.
Yep.
No, not yet.
And we don't know what Hendon Hooker is as an NFL quarterback. I mean,
no.
I know locally that's going to always be a discussion because he was a Vol. But if he wasn't a Vol, would y'all be talking about Hendon Hooker?
No.
Not a lot of people.
No, Will, we would not.
That was A to Z reporter Mike Payton.
Okay.
Who for the Detroit Lions? Who
does he have a source?
No, that was his. That was his trade. His idea for.
Yeah, it's just again kind of speculation, and there's nothing wrong with speculation. And here's 10 trades that could make sense. There's a place for that, but yeah. Let's go to Neil up next in Nashville. Hey, Neil.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Good morning.
Okay, this is just me ranting. So, personally, if I'm Amy Adams-Strunk, I'm getting rid of Brinker, I'm getting rid of Carthon, and I'm getting rid of Callahan.
Why is that?
the incompetence is just bad. We've gotten worse in 2 years. We've gotten worse, not better. I'm throwing all the money I can at Ben Johnson from the Lions to run my offense. I'm going to get somebody. I'm looking at the Detroit Lions front office to try to get some kind of GM, and I've got to get somebody that ain't Chad Brinker to be president of football operations.
Well, Neil, to play devil's advocate at that point, the Lions front office and ownership and organization kept Dan Campbell after he went 3-13-1 as a head coach in his first season.
Sure did.
Yeah, but we've gotten bad. I don't think
because they were already put in a hole,
were bad
though.
too.
That's the problem.
That's the question I'm asking you, Neil, is like, if you're going to go with the Lions method, doesn't that mean you give the head coach and GM more time after 1 year?
No.
That's what they did.
I've seen it now.
Okay, well, then you're not taking the Lions method.
I'm getting rid of Simmons and I'm getting rid of Sweat.
Thank you,
What?
Neil.
Sweat? He's part of the building block.
Yeah, you're not getting rid of DeAndre Sweat.
The tough part about getting Ben Johnson, too, is he turned down the Commanders gig last year, which you could argue is a better position than the Titans would be. What would stop him from saying, like, hell no, I'm not going to Nashville?
Exactly. And here's the other thing, too. That first year for Dan Campbell, they lost 8 straight weeks, went into a bye, came out of it, tied Pittsburgh 16-16, lost 2 more games after that before getting a win in week 13 that year of a 17-game schedule. And then they lost again to Denver, won against Arizona, lost twice again to Falcons and Seahawks, and won against the Packers late in the season. And on the game that probably meant nothing. You went 12 straight weeks of not getting the dub in Dan Campbell's first year.
Yeah, Neil lost me. We appreciate the call, but you lost me when you said trade Devondre Sweat. That's it's not how this works. When you have a rookie who's playing pretty well,
That's
you don't
part
just
of the
get
plan
rid of
to move forward. Is
you have to keep
build.
those guys. Yeah,
this ain't Madden, y'all.
No, it's not. Turn on the Xbox if you want to trade rookies like that and just get us all the top 5 picks. It's just fun to do on Xbox. Breathe. All right, should we talk about the Vols?
Sure.
I think we should talk about the Vols.
Let's pivot.
Tennessee beat Alabama
All right,
on a Tennessee Saturday night. Ramon Foster has been wearing
Get
an
off that
elephant on his head all day. Oh, you got another one. You got a Davy Crockett hat.
Does that even fit your head? Oh, it does.
It's
The Davy Crockett hat.
I'm going to make it work, though.
There you, oh, my God. No.
I ordered one.
There it is. There it is.
Tennessee 24, Alabama 17. Just like Ron Slay said what happened. Vols get the job done. Guys, Tennessee did not allow Alabama to convert a 3rd down on offense after the first quarter. 3 sacks, 9 TFLs, 2 interceptions, 12 QB hurries. Jalen Milroe runs 14 times for 11 yards. 11 yards rushing for one of the best, most dynamic running quarterbacks in college football. Jermon McCoy is a beast, and Ryan Williams became the youngest player to ever lose in Neyland Stadium.
There you go.
What else stood out?
Oh, my gosh. Did you know that Jermon McCoy was only 19 years old when he intercepted the youngest player to ever play in Neyland? Did you know
Just
that?
19?
Did you guys know that? He's
No.
only 19. Man, listen up. What happened this past weekend was one, I'll say this, for as much as I know about that program, I don't know if we've seen the Tennessee Vols team be that mentally locked in to where they can go 0 against Alabama at home and the offense looked bad, okay? In the sense that they could not get it going, right? Those are the things that I appreciate about what happened. As much as you can dislike Height, as much as we were booing them in the first half and just questioning everything about Nico and everybody else, I am, for once, in my fandom since retirement, enjoying what this team looks like, because teams in the past, Caleb listeners, would have folded to Alabama. Now, I don't want to blame it on Nick. The board is your show now. We don't give a damn about what y'all got going over there. But the teams that I know that are under other coaches in other years will have folded against that team. And that team rose up in a major, major way. So much so I went out and got me I think it's made of rabbit up top, but I got the raccoon.
It's not real?
tail
Okay.
around back. It's rabbit up top, Caleb. I got me a coon skin hat on right now because they went hunting in the second half.
They
Do you
did.
understand me?
Yeah.
Like, that's where I was. And again, I'll say this too. There's one thing about Nico in this situation where I'll just say, I think I hope he had an aha moment. Because I think when you look at somebody that has to get aggravated to get engaged, that's where I, as a young player, had to realize, Mon, you can't just do it. You can't, and I'll tell you can't. You got to be intentional. I think that scare hurt that he had, that scare injury, and he acknowledged it. He said the injury actually helped him.
Said it woke him up.
I actually kind of saw that when he came back, at least before he threw the INT, right?
Man.
But it did you did see maybe Nico play a little bit more aggressive, and just in terms of this offense. There is that worry about the first half, right? They were shut out for 3 straight games in that first half, but they were able to flip the script in the second half, like Will's been saying all morning, kind of opposite of the Tennessee Titans. But the whole entire game, you give credit to what this defense was able to do. And Jalen Milroe was clearly the threat that you needed to, for the most part, shut down or try to shut down. And I thought that they did a good job of not letting him run outside or do what he does best when he's on the move. And Will gave you the numbers there.
Yeah.
They caused, obviously he had 2 interceptions. That's something when you're able to turn over the ball like that. The game can go in more of your hands. And so you look at this Tennessee team and just the resiliency in that second half to get the job done, not only continually to do it defensively, but then the light coming on for the offense to get it done as well. And by the way, Dylan Sampson, again, coming up big in the second half.
100+ yards in the second half.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns. I think that's what they gave him. Bell cow. Okay. That's what you got.
He's a real
and
deal.
the big boys up front finally woke up and got their stuff together, man. And here's what you can say about that game. Will, you follow recruiting like I do. Kayla, you do too, right?
I just listen to you guys
listen to
in
us
terms
follow
of
it.
Vols recruiting.
Does that roster still look good at Alabama half?
Yes.
Is it high class?
Yes.
More 5 stars in Tennessee?
Yes.
Have a little bit more experience over there some way?
Yep.
And we still kick they butt. Well, I don't want to hear a damn thing about this ain't Nick's team. No, absolutely not. I'm done. Go ahead, Will.
And
I'm
I do
sit
think
and chew on this cigar.
there is some revisionist history going on about Alabama making a lot of mistakes that would have never happened under Nick Saban. You know how much Alabama was still penalized 2 years ago?
Talk to him.
Against Tennessee under Nick Saban in Knoxville? They had actually more penalty yardage 2 years ago in Knoxville than they did on Saturday.
They've had issues for a bit now.
The last 2 times Alabama has gone to Knoxville, they have had 32 penalties for 245 yards. On Saturday, it was 15 for 115. So that's the Alabama perspective. But we're starting with Tennessee here. If we're going to say it's bad with the offensive line when it's bad, we got to say it's good when it's good. They stepped up to the plate. Nico Iamaleava took a step forward in making checks at the line of scrimmage, in adjusting things. Alabama gave Tennessee the same defensive look that Arkansas gave them, that Florida gave them. They ran that double mug nickel where they had 2 linebackers on each side of that A-gap over the center. And what did Nico Iamaleava and Josh Heupel do? They rolled out, and Nico, when he had to, didn't just make a throw. He threw a dime on the run. 57 yards to Dante Thornton. And that singular play, guys, has changed Tennessee's season.
It has.
Because if Nico Iamaleava does not find Dante Thornton for a 57-yard gain on 3rd down with pressure coming, a guy in his face after about 3 or 4 overthrows that had y'all calling him Joe Milton and Nico Iamale Milton.
Ooh,
and there were those moments.
If he doesn't make that throw,
he did.
Then that would have been his identity today. But Nico stepped up and quieted a lot of people who were rightfully doubting him a little bit in the first half of that game. He flipped the script, and Tennessee is still in the playoff discussion because of it.
And look, real quick, that's kind of what we said. He needed to find that moment where he was able to count on one of these guys to make that type of big play. And Thornton obviously was that guy, and it did take a while to get there, but if that certainly could be that moment where you can flip Nico's play and give him that confidence, then this could be a different type of offense moving forward, which you need it to be. You do need to have some success in the first half.
Here's the thing. Spared you 7 in the first, right? The Bama teams I know would have piled on. And again, and I said this Friday. Win, lose, or draw, the gap has been closed, right? Win, lose, or draw, the gap has been closed. The way Bama's fan base was nervous about it, questioning what they needed to do, questioning their quarterback. Bama, you just like us. You just like everybody else at this point right now. Nick ain't coming through them doggone tunnels, okay? It's that simple. And look, you can make all the excuses about how the game looked and Milroe this. Welcome to everybody else's world. The Nick effect was cool. But here's the thing about it. Create more discipline for your team. I thought it was flagrant for Milroe to continually go to the 17-year-old, man. There are other playmakers out there. He had 13 targets in the first quarter.
Career high.
13 in the,
I believe it was 20 in the game.
Yeah.
I'm done because y'all going to see I'm pro Tennessee on this one, man. But go ahead, Caleb. Well, y'all have it. I'm going to just chew on this cigar right now, man.
Look, I think for the wins that you guys had, the Tennessee Vols in the last 2 weeks, as much as you want to maybe be frustrated in terms of how you got the win against Florida because it's not a high caliber team this year, that has been a thing that's been a thorn in the Tennessee Vols side for a very long time. And to be able to get that win at home, even though it was done the way it was done, you still got the victory. And for them to be able then to come back and face an Alabama team that you've kind of had long stretches of where this rivalry has been. And you guys have now been able to flip that in terms of your favor and gain some momentum off of that. Now there's a bye week, right?
Yep.
And this is where Josh Heupel's got to be even better in terms of getting everybody on the right page and coming out against Kentucky in that first half and taking advantage of what they've been doing the last 2 weeks. They've got to get something going offensively in the first half. And I think they can because they built on that second half in this game against Alabama with this offense.
We can clear it that Alabama loses to Tennessee win.
Both.
I
don't know. I think
but Tennessee defense disrupted Alabama.
I think both things can be true.
I ain't willing to give them that, Will. Absolutely not. Because the plays that they're supposed to be made, if Milroe was supposed to tuck the ball and run, why didn't he? Because the defense was good enough.
Milroe also missed some open guys. I think that's why both are true. Yeah, no, I think both are true in the same time.
Now, I don't think Alabama lost. I think Tennessee beat them in that week. You throw a post fade, you throw a fade in the end zone to a wide receiver that's supposed to be your clutch guy, and you have Jamar McCoy tip it, run it back. Right? And then on top of that, I don't even know if the Vols got points out of them. I think they missed a field goal. And they still stopped them and kept them to 7.
Yep.
If we're going to keep it a buck, like the gap that Alabama had, or at least the level of play that DeBoer is coaching them up with, just ain't there no more. And you know what happens? You lose recruits. If I'm not mistaken, we had a few recruits shut down recruiting that was thinking about Alabama. You end up getting a 4-star interior offensive lineman based off of that this past weekend.
And here's the thing. The first half, you had Alabama's defense needed to do better.
Real Mike
Guess
Jones.
what? They did it better in the first half. The defense did. The Tennessee offense couldn't get going in the first half, but what changed in the second half? The offense started to get going, but Tennessee's defense was still what it was.
Yeah, and Bama, that's all I'm asking y'all to do. Like, the bandwagon, stop over here off Briley, man, and let some folks off at the mall. I get it. It's a little light right now, man. It's a good shopping center. Y'all can walk. I think if you make one total loop around Opry Mills, it's a mile, okay? So y'all go ahead and unload them over there, get some shopping, and help the economy here, man.
Alabama is losing its swag.
Coming up,
so
615.
much trash. I'm here for this, man.
737.
We own y'all in this state this year.
1045. This is the energy you got now that we have switched from Titans to Vols. For the rest of the show, your thoughts on the Vols. And another play that sparked something for Tennessee that I want to see more of. And the stats after that one moment, not even the 55-yard catch, a different moment for the Tennessee offense. The stats tell you that may have been the spark. Got that for you next. We mentioned before the break there was one play for the Tennessee Volunteers on Saturday that might have changed the season. It's RKW, wrap it up hour 3, 615-737-1045. I think there was a second one, guys, that was equally important, and it gives you an example of something the Vols should do a lot more of coming out of their bye week this Saturday after a smoke-filled Neyland Stadium saw a win against Alabama. Nico Iamaleava's 27-yard scramble turning a sack into a big gain and a first down on Tennessee's first touchdown drive completely changed this game as well. And after that, Nico Iamaleava through the air was 6 for 9 for 88 yards and a touchdown. He wasn't sacked the rest of the night, and he had 14 yards rushing. They have got to continue using his legs because, A, they can play 11 on 11 in the run game and make a good run game great, and it masks some of the problems they have up front on the offensive line if Nico can be more intentional about tucking and running. And he's so athletic, guys, that he makes a guy miss more often than he doesn't.
And then the offense is stretching the defense out good enough to where they got to back up and play
100%.
I saw Bama backers were spying him. There was that part of it also, and where if he's going to scramble, at least be able to find your outlet somewhere. I don't like the decision thrown across his body all the time, but here's the thing about it. He has the ability to break a guy down and go past him, too. I'm with you. You got to use it. I just want to see from play one to play the last play of the game, his attitude about being a playmaker be accepted as soon as he crossed those white lines. Right. I love the even kill attitude and being able to just be cool and calm. No, screw that. Everybody got to have a little savage about them whenever they walk on that field. Even the quarterbacks, quiet as kept, got to have that knife in the boot ready to just handle whatever comes their way. And I think that back thing, whatever it was when he got injured, it woke him up.
Yeah, it was like a hip or something. But
his back.
Look, the thing with Nico Iamaleava is he is still learning on the job, right? Every game is a learning experience for him. But if you want to allow him to grow, you got to let him do the things that he is naturally able to do. And running is a part of his game. Yeah. And it's something that can set up for, maybe it's not going to be something explosive every time, but it makes second and third downs way more manageable, which is in turn going to help this offense be able to continue to flow and stay on the field.
MJ tweets at us at Ramon Kayla Will. I'm looking forward to Alabama losing in the Music City Bowl so they can be 0-3 in our great state of Tennessee.
And then Nick Saban can really live the life where he says, you know, it's a home game for them, literally for the bowl game.
Right? Because he said that about Vanderbilt.
Nick Saban should also tell Kalen DeBoer his thoughts on fake injuries instead of just saying it on College Game Day, too.
Man, that whole thing was crazy.
Insane.
I want to hear the callers, man. I know.
Absolutely insane. UT Eric is in Nashville. This is our third Eric of the morning.
Wow.
Third time's the charm. What's up, UT Eric?
Hey, what about them Vols?
Go Vols!
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to say that. Go Big Orange! We beat Alabama! Yeah.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Don't it?
You just needed to get
talk
that
your
off
talk,
your chest.
Eric.
Yeah.
Eric, just be prepared to co-parent with Vanderbilt. It's all, man. We can handle that. We can at least drop them off and pick them up at the mall.
When was the last time Alabama dropped 2 games in the state of Tennessee in the same season?
I think
Bear Bryant was probably still at Vanderbilt the last time that happened.
But anyway, I'll make this quick, guys. There's really not much I can say that y'all haven't already elaborated on, and I don't blame you, to be honest. But, I mean, to me, the game pretty much sums up what Alabama-Tennessee football has always been about. I mean, Alabama jumped out to that early lead, and I admit that I was frustrated with the offense in the first half. When Nico was stumbling, when he threw the interception at, like, the 5-yard line in the first half, I'm like, oh, man, this can't be. But anyway, I didn't lose faith in the guys. And, Will, I have to agree with you. That long third down pass that Nico completed to Thornton was for a first down that led to the touchdown to put us up 14-10. I have to admit that was the play of the game on offense right there. Maybe the play of the season, if you ask me. And the thing that led me to believe that Nico was finally back in his rhythm was when he threw that game-winning touchdown pass
I mean, right where the ball had to be, right there in the corner of the end zone. The receiver gets both feet down, perfect pass right on the money. And that led me to believe that we still have a great playoff chance. I know we got plenty of football still to be played, but lo and behold, we beat Alabama. Go!
Talk your talk
Thank
here.
you, guys.
UT Eric.
Our third Eric of
Bring
the
it.
morning.
Big Eric's out here, man.
Charlie and Brentwood up next. Hey, Charlie.
What's going on, everybody? Smoke them if you got 'em.
I got one.
Absolutely.
Man, I know we're going to talk about Nico. He joins such an elite group of quarterbacks, like just a handful that have beat both Alabama and Florida in the same year. I mean, it's just unbelievable, and he hasn't even played up to his potential. But I got to say something on the defensive side, too. After Jermon McCoy got that interception, Milroe was not the same quarterback. He looked so shook up. He was not on his game after that moment. I thought that was one of the most important turning points of the entire game was that Jermon McCoy interception.
Absolutely, Charlie. I
And
agree.
he's a dog.
Jermon McCoy is one of the best cornerbacks in college football.
One of the best transfer pickups they could have had.
100%.
If he runs a good 40, stays healthy, that dude might be playing himself into a first-round pick.
And you said he's
you're absolutely
19?
right.
He's, you know, he intercepted the ball in front of a 17-year-old player.
And that is the book on beating Alabama. Take away the explosive plays.
Yeah.
And take away Milroe's legs and make him dink and dunk you over the middle between 0 to 10 to 15 yards. And he will either give you one or he'll miss layups. And Milroe was missing layups because Tennessee did not allow him to hit the triple or the home run. I just
Absolutely.
combined basketball and baseball. I don't really care. On passes of 10 yards or more downfield, guys, according to PFF, Jalen Milroe, 6 of 17 for no touchdowns and a pick.
Oof.
Look at Michael Penix last year. Look at Kalen DeBoer offenses. If you don't have that explosive passing game, that's what it takes to beat them.
It is.
615-737-1045. Loaded lines. You guys wanting to react to Tennessee and Alabama. We will open it up for you coming up. We'll talk a little bit of Georgia, Texas as well. A surprising result in the Lone Star State. Lots to get into. An hour or more to do it. Hold on tight. Going to go quick. Coming up on 104.5 The Zone. Hey, it's Will Bowling here from my friends at Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance. Established in 1926, it is the largest and most comprehensive orthopedic practice in Tennessee. These are the leading experts in sports medicine and performance, and they're also the team physicians for NFL, college, and high school athletes across Tennessee. High school football parents, you're getting to the end of the regular season, and let's face it, everybody is playing a little bit injured this time of year. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, these are the folks that I trust to get me healthy. It's who I would go see with over 100 orthopedic physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee to take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. And they provide more sports medicine coverage to more high school and college sports teams than any orthopedic group in the state of Tennessee. TOA.com. That's where you go for the best advice, for physical therapy, anything you need to be your healthiest, the sports performance training, they have got it all. TOA.com with 29 locations throughout Tennessee. That's Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance.
What's going on? 9:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans fall at the hands of the Bills and Josh Allen 34-10. 5 days after arriving in Buffalo via a trade from Cleveland, Amari Cooper turned his first catch into a go-ahead touchdown.
10 Allen drops, throws, and there he is. Amari Cooper's first catch as a Buffalo Bill is a go-ahead touchdown with 10:23 to go in the third quarter.
Cooper finished the game with 4 catches for 66 yards on 18 offensive snaps. The Bills moved to 5-2, while the Titans fall to 1-5, with the Detroit Lions looming for next week. Sunday Night Football with the Steelers. They beat down on the Jets 37-15. In his Steeler debut, Russell Wilson finished 16 of 29 for 265 yards and 2 passing touchdowns, adding another one on the ground. Another wide receiver making their debut with a new team, but Devontae Adams was less than impressive, catching 3 of 9 targets for 30 yards and had a pick-6 saving tackle. Steelers moved to 5-2, and the Jets fall to 2-5. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour reaction Monday on RKW continues. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Loaded phone lines, talking Vols and Alabama. 615-737-1045. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. On a Tennessee Saturday night, Vols 24, Crimson Tide 17. Reports of Nico Iamaleava and Tennessee's demise were greatly exaggerated.
Boy, what a weekend, man. Hopefully the young fella grew up, man, a little bit more. And I heard also, Will, I know we got a lot of meat on the bone as it pertains to that win this past weekend. The boos were warranted going into the locker room at halftime. But I heard there was growth inside of the seats inside of Steeling, man, where afterwards when Nico came back out, they were chanting his name.
Yep.
I can whoop you and also take you out for ice cream, basically. That's what we're doing.
Well, and he was able to change things around,
He
too.
was. That also helps, too, Kayla, to your point. It ain't just, oh, we're sorry. No, you make a couple plays.
That crowd was unbelievable.
I heard they was piping noise in.
Was it the loudest you've heard it in the second half?
From start to finish, it is the loudest I have ever heard Neyland Stadium.
Ever?
For an entire game.
Ever?
There's the Cal win that you guys had when you weren't supposed to beat Cal and you destroyed them in Neyland Stadium. That was 04.
Florida 04 was about as loud
Florida
as I heard.
04 was up there. Oklahoma 2015 is definitely in my top 5. When Baker Mayfield and Oklahoma came back and beat Knoxville and Neyland Stadium in overtime. Florida 2016 is up there. Alabama 2022 is up there. I think this is my new number 1 because from start to finish, it was different. In 2022 Alabama, I still think the loudest moment I've heard in Neyland Stadium was Chase McGrath making the field goal and pandemonium and that one singular moment. But from start to finish for 4 quarters, I think this game takes the cake. Maybe it's recency bias. Maybe I can still taste the cigar on my lips, and I had 2 of them Saturday night. I enjoyed it.
Like a real one?
That's right. A little bit of whiskey to go with it. Felt good. But maybe a recency bias. We do not care, even if it is, because it was that good on Saturday night. Let's go to the phones. Lots of you wanting to react to Tennessee and Alabama. Let's go to Trevor, who is in Nolensville. Hey, Trevor.
Hey, how's it going? Long time Bama fan. I'm not getting off the wagon because it ain't no wagon that's in my roots.
See, I can appreciate
There you go. Real one.
Just looking at the game, it was hard to watch because that was not Bama football. 1st and goal on 3. Any other Bama team is going to try to pound it. into the end zone. We're throwing a pass, get a pick, good play on the defense, but bad call. And just throughout the game, you just saw just bad football is what I would call it. It was just bad football. And yes, Tennessee walked away with the victory. Go ahead, smoke y'all's. Since you got y'all's, I still have mine. Waiting for whenever this episode that we're going through is over. But just the focus on Milroe and Ryan Williams, I think has been just over-exaggerated, and it's changed our complete offense. And the defense has no sense. Third down, every time we're going to smack somebody in the head, get a penalty, even after the stop. So it's not looking good right now for Bama, but we're still going to roll tide.
Thank you, Trevor.
I can respect
Trevor, that's a good call.
He's not out on his
That's
team
very
yet.
fair.
Hey, Kayla, that's about as fair
as it gets.
No, I mean, he admits the loss, and he's frustrated with his team, and says it's been more focused than anything on Milroe and Williams, and
Williams.
not happy with it.
It's fair. Johnny's in Murfreesboro next. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, guys, appreciate taking my call, but I want to change my name from Johnny to Eric since everybody else is.
Right?
What's up, Eric?
J.E.
Hey, quick things, real fast. I've been a Vols fan and Titans fan my entire life. And since Philip Fulmer, I've never seen a UT team buy into a system more than they have now. It is so obvious this team is unified. They're playing their hearts out. And when you get that way, you win big games like this. So huge props to the Vols. Big win. Always go Vols. I had a few cigars myself, I ain't gonna lie. And the second big, no, I'm in a small group when it comes to this. But you know what? I'm going to ride this Levis train out. I want to see what this kid's got. He hasn't had that many starts. He's had multiple offensive coordinators since college. You know, we got to give this guy a chance somehow. He's going to play bad, yes. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has had the best second year, you know, and his second year is the best we've ever seen. 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. He's not that guy. But we got to see what this dude does with the same coach in the offseason and learn and get better. That's the only thing he can do. So I'm going to ride it out, see what you guys say about it.
And Johnny, part of that is he's got to be available too.
Yeah,
I mean, that's something where he's got to be out on the field for them to be able to fully evaluate him if they want to have the whole season to do it.
100%. That's fair. Real quick note on Georgia, Texas before we continue the Vols discussion, because I'm curious what you guys think about Tennessee's ceiling moving forward and what they can be. We had the discussion on Friday, and I just had an inkling that there was a little bit too much confidence on Texas and not enough respect given to Kirby Smart and who that Georgia program is. And they reminded us who they are on Saturday night. Because for once, guys, when Kirby Smart told his team that nobody believed in Georgia, he was actually right this time. And they absolutely punished Texas at the point of attack. They were more physical. They were tougher. They turned the ball over 3 times and come out of Austin with a 2-score win. Really impressive what Kirby Smart and that Georgia program did on Saturday night.
Look, and I'll give Georgia credit because I know they did seem like they were down in the dumps in terms of the program up to this point. That's foolish. I know that they haven't looked great this year. Defensively, their identity hasn't really been there. But Kirby Smart has been through this before, right? He has gotten teams up for games like this before. Longhorns are in the SEC for the first time. This is a little bit different of a stage. So I'll give credit to the Georgia Bulldogs when it comes to coming and getting that victory. First of all, though, that was a sloppy game. 4 turnovers for Texas, 3 for Georgia, like you mentioned, Will. I still, though, need to be fully convinced that Georgia is the powerhouse that they are, because Carson Beck is still a little bit erratic to me. I mean, that guy was 23 for 41, 175 yards, but 3 INTs in that game, no touchdowns. They're glad that Trevor Etienne was able to do what he was able to do, because he accounted for those 3 tutties in that game, 87 yards. Their defense played absolutely better and even put in Peyton at Manning, not Peyton. Arch Manning at some point. Archie. They even changed the quarterback. So give them credit. But I don't know if I'm fully convinced those are the Georgia of old.
Yeah, I saw our good friend George Foster tweet out they thought they was going to pull a quick one by putting Arch Manning in. He realized quickly, this ain't Disneyland. This is Georgia defense, man. I'm looking at a play right now. It's Kirby's. He's in his bag when his back is against the wall. You said it during the week, Will, and we ain't hold to it. You said, no.
Georgia.
This is where Kirby thrives. And he's right there waiting.
But can they thrive in these games that haven't been where they've got to really get up for the? No, these are the games I almost don't worry about. It's like the Kentuckys and those games that they've kind of let people hang in there. And they haven't played as dominant of games.
They do that every year, and they get better.
Where Kentucky was at that point, I think Kentucky was a lot better. And I think they were primed to play them with a quarterback that weekend was playing lights out against his old foe, too. So there is that side of psychological. I ain't diminishing what you said, but it's just like.
No, I don't know if they're the Georgias we've seen the last couple of years.
No, they're not. They're not.
Yeah. I don't like Carson as much as maybe other people do.
I don't think many do.
I don't think anyone's elite.
I think it's just really
I don't think
good.
anyone's elite in college football this year. There's not that one team that it's them and then everyone else.
It ain't Oregon?
Oregon's number one, but
they can get
with that atmosphere, they beat Ohio State by 1. Like Ohio State on a neutral field would still be favored over Oregon tomorrow.
They can still
100%.
Oh.
So I don't think there's that one team. Georgia is not the level of untouchable it has been in the past. However, they are still getting better at the same rate that Kirby Smart teams often improve over the course of the season. And that's what I think is bad news for everyone else in the SEC.
I do think there's more of a chance, though, for Tennessee to take them down this year, even at their place.
100%.
Or no, they're at Tennessee, aren't they?
No,
it's at Athens.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I still feel like, though, if they get it together on offense for Tennessee and figure it out in that first half, I think they have a heck of a chance to go there and win.
Like a roller coaster. Like a plane. You want to be ascending up.
So there was a column over the weekend by one college football writer, and the overall point of it I disagree with, but there is a good argument to be made about Tennessee's ceiling and one really big reason why this 2024 team is still a lot different from the one 2 years ago that beat Alabama. We'll dive into that next.
United Structural System is a foundation repair and waterproofing company. It has served the Middle Tennessee area since 1994. They have more than 25,000 satisfied residential customers. So listen to me. When it's hot or the weather's dry outside, you might notice cracking, soil cracking, and pulling away from your home. It may be leaving holes or gaps next to the foundation. Your bricks may be cracking, walls bowing, doors or windows sticking. These are all signs of a possible foundation issue. Your house may be trying to tell you something. Waterproofing also. That can include drainage and sealers, oftentimes both. Here's a little fun fact for you. Up to 50% of the air you breathe on the first floor of your home is the air that came from your crawl space. So control that moisture. Create a healthier home for your family by encapsulating your crawl space. United Structural Systems can do that for you. Also, this too. Many of the repairs you have are guaranteed for the lifetime of your home. They aren't going anywhere. I've told you that before. They've been here since 1994. We guarantee our best. Simply call USS. Their number is 615-488-7855 or online at USSTN.com.
RKW 1045 The Zone, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 615-737-1045. There was a column over the weekend that, while I disagree with parts of it, I think made some good points. Ari Wasserman of On3, Andy and Ari, our good friend Andy Staples, they host a show together on On3 weekday mornings. They do an excellent job. We certainly recommend that podcast. Wrote about why Tennessee's win over Alabama this year is more important than the one 2 years ago. And his point largely is because which team in the sport this year, he says, would Tennessee have a 0% chance of beating? There is none.
There is none.
Mm-hmm.
So on a Saturday night in Knoxville, Tennessee extended its playoff chances significantly by beating Alabama because this Tennessee team could get hot, considering it has a championship caliber defense and an offense with the pieces and the talent to go on a run and get hot, maybe, the way Nico Iamaleava and the Vols did in the second half. Where I disagree with it is because I think 2022 is more important because without 2022, I don't know if you get the 2024 game, right? Because of the momentum that game created. But I'm willing to at least hear the argument that there is no elite team in college football this year. We learned that from Texas over the weekend. So can this Tennessee team still meet its ceiling? Did the offense find the spark, or was that just a good half? Where does this Tennessee team go from here?
It's hard to say because did it find its spark? In that game, yes, it did. I think you saw Nico's confidence grow more and more. You made the crucial plays that you had to, right?
Absolutely.
Down the sideline, Dante Thorne, and the Brazzle throw. Do you see where that ball went? Like, almost, I got to clean my language up, okay? I was that close.
So what happens when Tennessee beats Alabama 2 out of 3
We
years?
have had that type of morning, but it went right over the DB's shoulder into Brazzle's hand. Great throw, even better catch.
On the
is what I
slot
would say.
fade to win the game?
To win the game.
Yeah.
Like the awareness
100%.
of it, the playmakers that you have. I will, honestly, I'm with Ari Wasserman on now, although he ghosted me and didn't hit me back, though.
Yeah, we try to get on the show.
That's one guy who hit me back. But either way, here's the thing, though. That game, that win, do it one time. Anybody can do something good once, right? And this is why I think it hits a little bit more, though, Will. Anybody can do something good once. It's a matter of can you do it again. Now, again, I know Bama fans 16-2. Like, all right, I'm with all that. But you got to start somewhere. And I think being able to capitalize at home again. And last year was closer than we're going to give it credit for. Also.
100%.
You look back at that game.
They had a halftime lead in Tuscaloosa.
Halftime lead. And then the sack fumble. Fell apart, right? Those players, that mentality, that mindset, I think is why you want, like, it's better than the last time. And you won it. And I think the recruits see it this time. Like, man, we've been doing this for a while, is what other coaches would tell recruits in this moment.
They're finding a way.
Now, but like as far as like the importance of it, now I think you can say to a point, we're here to stay. If we keep everything in order, if Nico gets better, the O-line gets better, all our defense stays where it's at, you're in a position, Will, that I do think this second win against Bama in the last 18 years really does reset you more than it did the first one.
As you know, as somebody who's kind of watched this team, and I watch it more intently than maybe somebody else would that's not a Vols fan, just because, you know, I work in this market and everything, is that this team by far has convinced me from the start, really, that the defense is elite. And I think that's just, first and foremost, let's just admit that's been the difference maker this year.
It's a championship level defense, yeah.
It is.
For sure.
And the thing with the offense that I think I'm getting more convinced after this Alabama game that maybe there was a light that went on in Nico's, brain that, okay, I've got a little confidence that my guys can make these plays. I still want to see maybe a little more aggressiveness out of these wide receivers to get these balls. But I will say that is a good start in that second half, that things started to click. I just think moving forward, you've got to have some sort of production in the first half with this offense, whether it be the running game getting going the first half, the passing game, whatever it be, you've got to put points on the board. And that will further convince me that they can go to, Georgia and beat a Georgia team on the road. Kentucky's coming up, but it's at Tennessee, which makes me feel even better about that. They can play a different type of game, right? We've seen it all season with them changing the way teams play against them. But it's at home, which makes me feel really good about it. But just get me something in that first half, guys. When it comes to this offense, then I'm really starting to roll.
But imagine this, though. It's the second time in hindsight now that the game is won and over with. You were down. You didn't score 0 points, and you racked it up on them in the second half and also stopped them too. Like the growth that you have in that moment. And imagine this. If he hit Squirrel, if he hit, who was it, Dante also down there?
Everybody was open at one point on misses.
You had 0 in the first half, and you pulled up against what everybody's calling King of the Hill, Alabama, to win that game. Crowd noise, whatever you want to say. Like, Bama's going into Tennessee, and it's been that toxic before, and people are walking out by middle of the third quarter.
Commenter on YouTube says, but lose to Arkansas, LOL. LSU would be favor over them, too. Nobody's totally trustworthy this year.
Man,
LSU lost to a USC team that doesn't look too hot. Like, show me a team in college football this year that is flawless, elite, and looks like world beaters in the top 10. I'll wait.
It's wild, you guys. This is wild west out here.
Because if you make that comment of like, oh, what, LOL, that moment for Tennessee. Yeah, LOL. Georgia barely could handle Mississippi State at home. Yeah, LOL. Georgia got dog walked in the first half against an Alabama team that's not great.
I ain't even paying them no more attention, man, because here's the thing about it. Like, I am, but like in the sense of like the ability to use one scenario, one situation, right? I don't know who he's a fan of, but to have a team respectfully to Vanderbilt, because they're top 25 at this point.
By the way,
what Clark Lee
congrats on
has
getting
done.
in the top 25 this week.
But where's the same energy for the losses that Bama has right now? We're going to speak about the Arkansas one, right? Like, those are the things we're speaking of in that moment. Tennessee had what happened to it in the Arkansas game and adjusted, right?
That's right. They learned from it. They got better.
Florida attempted it. They adjusted it then.
Yep.
Pulled it out. Bama also came with the exact same thing, and they adjusted there too. So is that not the course of a season, though, in a sense? But you've had two teams that's
100%
beat the heck out of you. Yeah, I'm going to say beat the heck out of you. Because Vandy wasn't supposed to do that. You had a 7-point spot on the Vols and somehow did not win.
I think for Tennessee, I think the exciting part right now is that all of your goals are still in front of you.
Yeah.
And everything is still there. Your ceiling can still be met. And Ari Wasserman said this at On 3. If that was a bad game for Iamaleava, what does a great one look like?
And that's the thing. I think they know what their issue is, the first half. That's the issue. And it's like, so that should be the encouraging part that, okay, we can fix this. And they've got another bye week now. Oh. You got to be better than what you came out in that other bye week where we heard there was a little bit of aloofness going on, right?
That's where Heupel's coaching just next step is going to have to be.
More steam.
Yeah.
You had an opportunity in Arkansas, right?
Put on more steam.
There we go. That's where I want to see the separation of, did he take the proper step or not, Will?
Yes. That's what Josh Heupel's got to prove to us.
Yes, he does.
Don't have another letdown performance, another Missouri last year, South Carolina 2022, and Arkansas 2024. That a lot of teams have, but you got your mulligan out of the way. You can't afford to have another one.
Come on, man.
Because all you can afford to lose again is to Georgia. And right now ESPN says Tennessee's got a 67% chance of making the college football playoff. So now moving forward, you can't lose to somebody you're not supposed to, because if you do that, then you got to go to Athens. You got to beat Georgia at that point. 615-737-1045 is our number. Let's go to Steven, who is in Franklin. Hey, Steven.
Good morning, y'all, and go Big Orange.
Go Big Orange, man.
Yes, happy man today. Hey, I want to give a quick shout-out to the Titans. Last week they had some of the Tennessee youth football teams there, and my son's team, his first year playing football, the Franklin Cowboys, they're 8-0 in their first year, his first year playing. So shout-out to them. Coach Kelsey and all the team, thank y'all for everything you've done there. And he taught me a lesson watching the Big Orange game Saturday night that, I saw the interception by the backup quarterback and thought, man, this is it. Alabama's going to do it. They're just going to roll us over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that 9-year-old said, Dad, it ain't over. It's just early in the game. They could still do it. I tell you what, man, my kid taught me something today. So go Big Orange. Congrats to the Franklin Cowboys, and thank y'all for all y'all do here. We enjoy the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steven.
I had a moment like that with Mike Keefe on Saturday.
Yeah.
About the Vols?
About the Vols. I was telling them, go for it. Go for it on that 4th and 1.
Did you watch it on the plane, by the way?
No, I watched some of it on the plane. Then we went to a sports bar up there, got some wings and sat down.
I love y'all's live feed, by the way. Yeah. That's amazing.
Mike Keefe said, no, Ramon, you punt this one. Defense playing real good. Yeah. This is a classic Tennessee-Alabama game. And they got a 3 and out. And Mike Keefe said, I told you.
I thought Josh Heupel managed this game really, really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of talk. I see a lot of social media, and I've seen it, the F at a Big Chat, even as recently as 2 minutes ago. Oh, where'd that aggressive Josh Heupel go? Well, aggressive Josh Heupel had to be aggressive because he didn't have a championship-level defense that could hold up their end of the bargain. And yes, there are times where I would have loved for him to be more aggressive. I thought there were a couple fourth down, like the 53-yard field goal. I thought he should have gone for it. But again, at the same time, like, how critical can we really be of a coach that's giving you more wins over Florida and Alabama than you've had in the last 25 years?
Right.
At this point, like, Heupel is who he is. He's the coach that has beaten Alabama 2 out of 3 times and has, for the first time, beaten Florida at home back-to-back times since 1990 and 1992.
But isn't this the growth that you want to see from a coach, though?
Yes.
Well, yeah, and you're navigating, again, I pay attention to all conferences very closely because I'm an AP voter, and you're navigating the most difficult conference in the country when it comes to football. I mean, it is what it is, guys. It really is on a day-to-day basis now. You're even seeing Mississippi State sit there and battle with Georgia and Texas A&M.
They're getting better.
Their spreads were like 17. That's why I've picked them the last 2 weeks, right? And they're covering that because they're battling. I mean, every team is going to battle in the SEC on any given day, but especially when you're at Tennessee and the target's on you, right?
Oh.
It's just a real thing.
It is.
Nico Iamaleava has had growing pains. I think a lot of us thought may have been behind him after Tennessee's win against Oklahoma and beat down against NC State. But Nico is still the guy. And Nico still shows you enough flashes and enough whoa moments to give you hope that the ceiling is still really, really, really high for this Tennessee team. Doesn't mean they're going to hit it, but it means that everything is still in front of them. And I think that second half was the moment where it all clicked. I think the overthrows are behind us. I'm optimistic that we're going to get closer to the best of Nico Iamaleava, and the lull and the borderline yips that he had and missing some of those open receivers, I think it's behind us.
Can I ask you guys a real quick question?
Yes,
Would you
ma'am.
rather just play this weekend?
Would you rather what?
I've just played this weekend.
No, not this one. I'll be honest with you. I think this break is appropriate.
I think it's great. Coming off a big game and the emotional just deep breath and the exhale that you take, literally, cigar-filled exhale that you take. No, I am great with a bye week this week.
Of course, what you got to see in front of you, too, the idea that you got to get some guys healthy and back.
Including your quarterback.
You got some young linebackers still that we're not talking a whole lot
100%.
about that need a breath, right? T-Lander, I mean, stepped in and did his thing, right?
Really good job.
By the way, Will Brooks in the back end.
Come on.
The pride of, how about a kid from Vestavia Hills, Alabama?
Dude, making
in
like
a Birmingham
all the plays.
suburb who gets an interception to beat Alabama, the team that didn't offer him.
In the
He
middle
was
of
good.
I'm going to say it because I'm sure it was a Caucasian person that tweeted it out. I'm going to say what they said on Barstool Sports. Said he's officially nominated for White Boy of the Year.
Swaggy. Yeah.
So that was it was Jacoby Thomas after the game.
Yeah.
Who said something along those
we
lines.
should be able to say that's his skin color. He's white boy of the year is what they calling him, man. I'm like, oh, okay.
Pretty funny.
I mean, it's like 3 key plays that are
really
due
was.
to
It really
year.
was.
And I'll be honest with you. I know earlier in the season you was like, Will Brooks?
Yeah.
I was surprised.
I know. And we all
I think
have
a lot
those
of us
moments.
were because
I didn't know nothing about him.
Because Tennessee's staff, one of their flaws in a lot of people's opinion is the fact that they don't trust young players quickly enough.
Yeah.
Right.
And they just continue to trot maybe lesser athletes out there because they've been in the system and those guys don't perform. But Will Brooks is not that.
Yeah.
Will Brooks is a dude. He's a good player.
I think Coach Doug Matthews calls it like a soaker because they just soak up everything in their time at Tennessee. And when they have to be able to come out and do the job, they do it. And he definitely did that.
Real quick, too, Will Brooks, highest rated PFF player on Tennessee's defense.
Yeah, I saw that.
Had an 84 grade from Pro Football
You know what,
Focus.
sir? So you doing all that. We ain't even heard Omari Thomas' name much at all as of late. And not in a bad way, but just saying like it's a lot of dudes making plays on that defense.
James Pierce got 2 sacks.
Great.
We were waiting on James Pierce. Reports of James Pierce's demise were greatly
I don't want to hear
exaggerated.
people say that. Again, the stats maybe not be what they were last
and again,
year.
when you are that type of guy, the target is big on you. And you know what he's doing in big game moments?
Yeah.
He's knocking at the door. Y'all got to let me in.
Big time players, big time plays.
Big time plays.
That's right. Let's go to Daniel Boone in Hickman.
I got my hat on. What
Daniel
is he talking
Boone,
about?
Ramon's brother over here. What's up, Daniel?
What's up, Danny?
Daniel
Miss
Boone.
Kayla.
What's up?
How you got? I said, how's it going, fellas and Miss Kayla?
Oh, we're good.
Hey, Boone.
We're good.
Hey, go Big Orange.
Go Big Orange.
There's a couple things I just wanted to give the boys a pat on the back for. I hadn't really heard much talk about. And that's from 1 week to the next, how our offensive line with the stunts and the twist we struggled, in the last game, and then how much they cleaned that up. And I felt like Cooper Mays and the boys on that line, they really did a good job at pointing out the things that they failed to miss on the last week. And then also on the D-line, I just want to give a shout-out, man, because in the trenches, a lot of people who haven't played, they kind of forget, they don't know just how much work goes in the trench. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, those boys over there are straight dogs. Everyone that's rotating in and out, coaches got those boys flying around, and the ceiling is really high for these guys.
Feels good, don't it?
Yes, sir, it does. It's been, hey, for 25-plus years being a Vol fan, I'm going to tell you, it's been a lot of painful seasons, but it's really looking bright in the days ahead.
Hey, Danny, what I would tell you is, since you've lived in the wilderness for so long, do some charity work today, okay? Find you a Bama fan, put an arm around them and show them the way through the woods.
Build them a log cabin they can suffer in silence in.
Yeah, that's all we're asking. You can do that for us, Danny.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Danny.
Daniel Boone. Is that his real name?
I don't know.
He said it was. He sent me a picture of his driver's license.
We in Tennessee, Caleb. We in Tennessee.
The license? Heck yeah.
Yeah, right.
He said he was working on his birth certificate. I did not believe him, but he said he would send it in.
I mean, he can legally change it to that.
I asked for his social, but he was not sending it.
He wasn't going to get that?
He can't have my hat, though. I'll tell you that much.
No, he cannot.
Not have my hat.
By the way,
you got one head. You got two hats, man.
I'm surprised you got that in that hat. Honestly,
this
it took
other
you a
one
minute.
It fits well.
Beat and battered like Alabama hat.
You should throw it in the trash.
For those listening on the radio right now, Ramon this morning wore an elephant head that a small child would wear, and then now he has a Davy Crockett hat on.
I do.
And a cigar he's been chewing on.
I might leave
which
this
I love
Zach,
so much.
Zach Lyons later
Oh,
today.
you should. He should have to wear it. Should he have to wear it? I guess you didn't make a bet. Never mind.
I ain't make no bet. I ain't
I'll
gonna
be
pile
nice.
on to people I'm real close to yet.
I mean, why
ain't even
not?
officially
It's never
met
stopped
Zach
you
yet.
before. Come on.
That's what I'm
Come on
saying.
now, Mom.
I think the other thing that excites me about Tennessee's ceiling moving forward, they have their equivalent of Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt again. Dante Thornton and Chris Brazzle.
Oh, and Brazzle.
And Chris Brazzle.
Chris Brazzle is your new Cedric Tillman.
Mm-hmm.
Physical,
Brazzle.
deep threat, back of the end zone, make the catch, game on the line. Chris Brazzle is outstanding. And Dante Thornton is averaging 30 yards per reception. That's a Jalen Hyatt level number.
Jeez.
That's Hyatt-esque. Sorry, Alabama fans. I'm just stepping on you again. Mentioned Jalen Hyatt again.
I mean,
we're going to go there.
They did it to us, Will.
Oh, yeah, of course they did.
You know how bad I wanted to beat up Terrence Cody whenever I played him in Baltimore?
I had a friend, seventh grade English. English. My friend who sat next to me in 7th grade English, the binder cover that they had was a picture of Terrence Cody blocking the field goal. You know how many times people have grown up going to school on Monday, hanging their heads, sad? I don't want to talk about football. Like, we just go to recess. Let's just go play backyard football. No. Finally, those that are wearing Pantone 151C get to go to work, get to go to school on Monday with their chest puffed out, with their heads held high, and with the faint scent of cigar smoke still on their breaths. And it feels so good. It feels so good.
We bring up one more thing, too. I know we're up against it. We got calls on the line, too. But for the folks that said this game didn't mean much.
Who said that?
The GAWD or GOD lowercase, okay? Because I respect the Lord, okay? Nick Saban said, like, Auburn means a lot, LSU means a lot. But that Tennessee game, he said that.
Yeah, he did on game day.
He said that on game day.
Mm-hmm.
So for the folks that say, you guys are little no, that ain't how Nick felt about it.
I remember getting in a Twitter argument last year with some Vandy fans who were saying Alabama doesn't even consider you a rival because you don't beat them enough.
No.
Who said?
I remember getting in an argument with some Vandy fans last year on Twitter who said that, like, oh, well, you're Alabama, Tennessee, that's not a rivalry. We're your rival, not them.
A lot of history.
Is it because of the recruiting aspect of it? Like, Auburn is in its own little world. I don't know what it is, but I was shocked when Saban said that.
I'm going to give you a little bit of evidence on how big the Tennessee-Alabama rivalry is. And it came from the Alabama radio broadcast over the weekend. I'll give you all the evidence you need to tell you how much this game means to Alabama fans. We got that for you next. RKW 104.5 The Zone, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And if you ever wondered about how big of a rivalry the third Saturday in October was, well, I hope you were listening to the Alabama radio broadcast, at least maybe for a couple of seconds on Saturday night.
2nd and 16 is not what you're looking for, especially with the noise level being what it is here. You got 100,000 plus, and they also pipe in crowd noise as well.
What? Like, what?
That is the voice of Alabama football and basketball, Chris Stewart, who is a good broadcaster and a good man, saying that Tennessee pipes in crowd noise as Neyland Stadium had Jalen Milroe and the Alabama offense just absolutely out of sorts.
Like, that's factually
I'm trying
wrong.
to
That's why it
find,
was a
the
little
tweet
bit
on that because it's
curious as to how that happened.
That's apparently that comes with bad ramifications if you do.
So Brian Rice made note of this. Our good friend from
yes,
Knoxville,
that's why I was
the
going.
sports
Brian
animal,
Rice, yes,
who tweeted the following. I'll pull it up myself here as well.
You got it?
Originally said, I like Chris Stewart a lot, but this was a dumb, not to mention completely inaccurate thing to say. 2 things about the accusation. 1, piping in crowd noise is against SEC rules and is a pretty significant financial penalty. 2, the soon-to-be replaced sound system currently in the stadium isn't good enough to make a difference anyway. I will speak to that because you guys I talked to on last week, y'all were like, oh, what was it like when they played Spooky Rocky Top on 3rd down against Florida? I had no idea what you were talking about because I couldn't hear Spooky Rocky Top. I couldn't tell what music they were playing because it was so loud in there. Chris Stewart, that is shameful. That is unacceptable to say something like that and be that sour grapes on an official team radio broadcast. I like you a lot, Chris, but that was a rough moment. That was a really, really bad decision.
Was he just in his feelings or something at that point? Because that was, I don't even know if I know he's new to the team, right? I mean, obviously he's been around.
He's been around Alabama for a long time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's a kind of a moment that at that point in your career, you can't really have.
There's no excuse. Yeah.
It kind of struck me as like, when you break up with a girl, but really she broke up with you. It's like, her feet stunk anyway. I didn't really like her. Did you see her pinky toe? That thing was weird, hanging on like a raptor talon. I didn't want to date her, no way. When in reality, she broke up with you for your best friend.
No, for real. That's like she left you, bro. It's okay to say like I got my heart broken. Like, it's like I joke and I kid about like where Bama is and stuff. And I think Bama's a real good team. That was a really good game this past week. I say it's really good because we won on that end, right? But you just got to see how much the hate is. Like the game really does mean something. Like Bama fans haven't been used to this in a while. And we said it when NIL came up, correct? Like that's the one thing that evens the grounds for a lot of people. And you got some sick folks like myself that will donate to a school so that you can have some NIL in place, so that you can compete. We were speaking about it on break. One thing that we care about is football. More we care about, college football.
Let's go to Mark in the Borough. Final call of the morning. Hey, Mark.
Hey, y'all.
Morning.
Arcade Dub.
Morning, Mark.
Feel good to get the win as a Vol. I hate that we didn't get it as a Titan. But, man, I had to reevaluate these Titans games, man, myself. I used to blame it on myself, man. I used to blame it on the beer I was drinking. Started drinking Blue Moon, and we still lose. So it ain't me.
Did you put that orange in there?
Nah, I didn't put the orange. I might need to try that next game. But I always was told if it ain't, you can't control it, then don't have no emotions towards it. Don't even try to fix it. Don't even have no kind of emotions towards it at all. But so that's why I'm with the Titans. So I'm just enjoying the games as a fan that I've been forever. But when it comes to the Vols, man, I'm so glad that we did not let that first time coaching the board, SEC, get a win over us. And then I'm also so happy that Georgia did not let Texas come in here and act like how they wanted to act in the SEC.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the call. I love comments like this, too, in the FN Big Chat this morning. Rodney has written in, and he's tried to insult Tennessee, but in turn has really just insulted Florida and Alabama.
Uh-oh.
He says, not a Vols fan, could care less about them winning. Vols beat up on small colleges, then pound their THERE chest like they are the king of the jungle. Funny. Gosh, that's really slighted Alabama and Florida.
It really is.
Small programs, Alabama and Florida.
You see what
That's all
happens?
Tennessee does. They just beat small programs like Alabama and Florida Gators.
I know we're hard to deal with because they're in the state with us and they got to hear us do these types of things. But this is also why Tennessee fans are obnoxious, though, because of that. Like, now we want to minimize wins and losses to Alabama and Florida because the Vols won. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where it's just like, all right, well, guess what? I'm going to beat you even harder.
Hey, Rodney, prepare to be sick of me.
Look, when you've been dragged through the dark depths of you know what,
come on,
hell,
and
Kayla.
you have a chance now to be excited about your team.
Tell 'em, Kayla.
In this world, especially of college football, when things are evening out,
Tell 'em, Kayla.
and you want to be able to bite the heads off
Get
the
'em,
Nick
Kayla.
Saban's programs and the Kirby Smart
Tell 'em,
programs,
Kayla.
then you got to attack.
Attack, attack, attack. That is the show. Heck, you even got Tyler Booker now, Alabama offensive lineman, saying Jalen Milroe's not 100% on an interview this morning.
What? Don't
They're
go out
going
there.
through it. Hey,
Will
couldn't be my
Levis,
team. Could not
We
be
got 365
my
days
team.
of this.
Tune in for Sad Boy Radio. The Buck Rising Show is coming up next. I'm sure they'll also cover Tennessee and Alabama. It won't be Sad Boy for 3 hours. Reaction Monday continues until 7 p.m. right here on 104.5 The Zone. Talk your talk, Ramon Foster.
I ain't
and
got nothing for
Davey
y'all,
Crockett.
man. Be hostile, dog. Hey, and smoke them if you got them. Go Vols.